and welcome to episode 76 of Talking Small Press Comics with Steve Keeter and me, Larned Justin. And Steve has been gone a little while, so welcome back, Steve. Welcome back. And
it's great to be back.
It is, and that mustache is really different than the one you usually grow. In fact, it won't even stay on.
It's a goner, man.
Yeah.
But yeah. Well, let me tell you, I'm in a relationship now with a beautiful lady. Yeah, beautiful lady in the Philippines. Every single relationship I've ever been in, the lady always ask me to shave the mustache. Always. But usually, once they see me without the mustache, they go, grow it back, please. And don't want to see that,
Yeah.
Hadn't happened yet, but I was in the Philippines for a couple of weeks and visiting my girlfriend and meeting her family and stuff, and being all in awe of this incredible culture on the other side of the planet. Things are very different there, but they do have 7-Eleven. So, they have KFC,
Oh, you didn't starve. Okay.
Yeah, they had Popeyes.
Wow.
They have McDonald's.
Oh, great.
McDonald's is interesting. You go to McDonald's
and
they serve rice everywhere. So you go to McDonald's and you get a burger, but they give you rice. You got rice and mushrooms.
Oh, rice in a burger. Okay.
It's not in the burger. Rice and a burger. Rice comes with everything.
Okay.
So a little different, but a lot of fun. Anyway, the mustache. Okay, I was there and I shaved it because she wanted me to shave it. She said you can do whatever you want. But I says, okay, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll go there for the first couple of days. I will have the mustache. So I have pictures of me with the mustache, she and I. And then after that, I shaved it. And I said, now, what do you like best, with or without? She says, I like it best without the mustache.
Uh-oh.
So anyway, now that I'm not there, I'm growing it back.
Yeah.
Now we're going to be getting together again in a few months. More about that later. But so then I'll have to shave it again. But I'll hang on to it as long as I can, folks.
Okay. We got comics. We got comics while you were away, and I guess you got them too. So what do you want to do first?
I talked to some kids there about the manga comics. Some people in her family, and there was some younger people, like teenagers, and they were asking me about America. Then they heard that I do comics, so then they were asking about comics, and they mentioned the manga comics, of course, in Asia. That's what's big, has been.
Yeah.
And I just told them, I do comics, but I said my kids growing up read the manga comics and watched the anime and all that. I watched some of the movies, the anime movies, but I didn't read too many of the manga comics. I'm influenced by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Way back.
Yeah.
So where were we? What was the question?
Well, you were going to bring up a comic, I think.
Oh, I got one here. Dale Martin is out there.
Okay. This is Watusi the Talking Dog, and this is a little different. This is a little different for Dale Martin. It's by Dale Martin.
Yeah.
And these, usually, Watusi the Talking Dog is kind of a jam comic normally. He will draw 3 panels and ask you to draw the 4th one. But that's not what this is. This one is all Dale. He does the whole thing.
He did these in his style, same thing. He did the first panel and the last panel, but instead of other people kicking in there, he finished it out himself.
Yeah, he does all the panels in in the whole book. So it's all Dale. And it's basically, as you can see here, about monsters.
Special monster issue of Watusi.
One of the leading monsters, Dale, right there.
Yeah, there's Dale himself. Here he is talking to Watusi.
There he is.
The famous Watusi, the dog. And on the back cover as well, you see Dale, and he's creating monsters
He's
as
drawing.
he calls them,
He's drawing monsters. Yeah.
drawing monsters behind Watusi's back.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And Watusi says, "What do you mean? Don't turn around." And he says, I'm almost done. I'm almost done." So he's drawing monsters behind Watusi's back. So
right.
Yeah. So that's going to be a surprise.
But he's got a bunch of gags in here, and he says in the book that you may have seen them before. They've all been published before, but he threw them all together in here. And you know, it's kind of funny. There's a number of them that will say like this, "To be continued," but not in this book.
But actually they are. It's a continued story within the book. Well,
there's one that is, I think, is continued, but not all.
It starts with the world's most sadistic dog catcher.
Yeah.
You see there? Something happens. He goes through a transformation.
Oh, he's a robot. He turns into a robot.
Oh, he's a robot.
Yeah. Turns into a robot there.
And he pops up later in the issue. Along the line.
Yeah, he does. He does. That one. Yeah. That one does pop up again.
Various monsters that are working for the dog catcher. The Igors, which is two guy, like a two-headed guy. Igor.
Yeah, Igor has two heads right there.
Vipron, which is like a viper, like a snake monster. And Thurgo. Thurgo is this big, goofy Frankenstein sort of guy. There he is right here, Thurgo. No great intellect, but kind of powerful, and Watusi's having to dodge all this stuff throughout the issue.
And of course, he has Frankenstein's dog catchers right there.
Frankenstein's dog catchers.
Yeah.
So this is a lot of fun. I like this page, the Vipron page.
This one.
A reptile egg, part alligator, part boa constrictor. Vipron.
Yeah.
Some nice artwork from Dale there, you know.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Typical. Now that one, see, it says "to be continued," but not in this book.
Yeah. So,
but that's because these have been published before. Another.
Right. I think everything except for the inside back cover is new, and everything else is the inside back cover, which is like an ad.
Like this page here, that's from 2017 right there. That page.
I like that page. That's a good page. That's
from 2017.
Watusi thinks he outran all the monsters. So he jumped in this lake to get away, but as you can see, he doesn't know what he's standing on top of.
Yeah. He didn't get away
from it. I trained on him. I'm safe now, right? But we'll see about that. So, a great book from Dale.
Dale, it's $2 from Dale.
Can't beat that.
I'll have the information how you can get it in the description below. And $2, you can't go wrong. And let's see what else we got.
Well, he sent another one, but this is
this is from the group that he belongs to.
Right.
The Memphis something.
Memphis something. The good, the bad, and the sketchy.
Yeah. But the group is the Memphis some kind of cartoonist association.
Oh, Dale didn't do that cover. I don't know who did that cover, but he gives the names of the people involved.
Yeah, it's got all the names of the artists in here, local artists from the Memphis area, and they all have stories and cartoons in here. And Dale, of course, does. Dale, I think, put this all together for the group.
Dale did this for the first story in the book.
Yeah, he did the first one there.
Not in his typical style, and it deals with
looks a little different. Yeah, but Watusi is in there in the final panel.
Yeah. But a lot of the story, there's a lot of the stories in this book dealt with robots and AI and stuff.
Yeah. So there's nice artwork. Look at that.
You have there was one story in particular. one story in particular that blew me away. It's called Part 7. What's the name of this group? It's a superhero group, the Extremes. The Extremes, and they're battling against a guy who's kind of made himself into like a scorpion, sort of a monster, this mad genius. This story was really good. And who did this? Who drew this? New Extremes, somebody, Jason Nagin, N-E-G-E-N, so Nagin, or Negan, or Nagin. But you got a superhero group here, a group of heroes. There's an adult group of heroes. And there's
Part 7, what I'm looking at.
Yeah, it's part.
They must have published it earlier in other issues.
Yeah, continued from earlier. Shows here these robots attacking and the heroes. I need to get more light on this. The heroes are puts a lot into this panel, and there's a lot of action going on. Yeah,
these are all great artists, cartoonists. They're very good.
Some more light. Let me get some more light over here. I can adjust this light. So, and other stuff in here. Yes,
inside back page. That's real nice. Wow, very good. Very good.
Destroy All Humans by Kevin Williams. Destroy all humans. The robots are on a rampage.
Yeah.
Destroy all humans. But you know what happens here? This creature's running around destroying stuff, breaking stop signs, and taking chunks out of the side of a building. And this little girl walks up and hands him a flower. He goes, well, okay, maybe not all humans. He's standing there holding the flower, so apparently we have some redeeming values. The Mid-South
Raiders right here. This must be an ad for a comic book for one of the guys. Does Robot Raiders.
Okay.
Anyway, very cool. This is $3. $3, and I'll have that information in the description so you can get that. There's their logo on the back.
Yep, there you go.
Mid-South Cartoonist Association. That's what it stands for. And Mid-South Cartoonist Association.
I think it's been around since 1987.
So these guys are old, very old.
Yeah, not as old as us, but pretty darn old, right?
Old.
All right.
Anyway, that's nice. Nice publication. Very, very well done. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
What do you got next?
That's the end of the video, folks. We hope you enjoyed this. No, I'm just kidding. But I do.
Don't do that.
I do have something.
You'll lose the viewers we got. Here we go.
Probably enough. We have a new book from Joe L. Carrales.
Right.
Beautiful
is
cover.
Very cool cover.
By Trish L. Ellis.
Yeah. She does a wonderful job here. Very nice.
Oh my God.
And this is, of course, Lost on the Trapped Planet. Lost on the Trapped Planet. This is part number 2 of the ongoing story.
A lot of action.
And I have always wondered why it isn't trapped on the Lost Planet. Why isn't it trapped on the Lost Planet? Why is it lost on the Trapped Planet? I don't know.
Let me tell you about this story. There's a lot of stuff going on. You get to see Marie.
Well, it's interesting.
The Improbable Girl. You get to see her in a slinky outfit that shows off her cleavage, which she doesn't look too happy about. But
they go through the doctor here in a white coat. I believe he discovered a computer from the 1950s.
Yeah.
Which created a portal that they were able to go through. Now, I don't see anywhere in here, and maybe I missed it, I don't see him referring to a planet anywhere in here. But they go to a land, kind of a land.
Like another dimension.
Yeah, but not a planet. The word planet didn't seem to appear in here anywhere.
Yeah, so they go to this place. Lots of nice artwork.
They're going to the trapped planet through the portal, but they don't refer to it as a planet, I think.
And this is Badger. That's one of Ken Bailey's characters who also stars in this.
He's the
Badger
bard.
Gets injured. The bard. He gets injured to recite some poetry and stuff, but then he gets injured. But don't worry, folks. I'm not giving anything away when I say he's
no. You know, another thing I've been wondering. We've reviewed a lot of Joe's comics, you know, and the Improbable Girl the name always fascinated me. So I looked up the definition of improbable, and improbable is not likely to be true or happen. So. The Improbable Girl is not likely to be true, or maybe didn't even happen. How about that?
I got to say something, because there's a lot of characters in this issue. You could easily get confused, get lost, especially if you haven't read the previous installments.
Right. You've got to pay attention to this, because it is, like Steve said, a lot of characters.
A lot of characters, a lot going on, so it's hard to remember who's who and what's what.
Right.
But someone sent me this character sheet.
Yeah.
Someone, Larned himself, went through.
I needed a character sheet so I could see who was who in here. So I decided to draw Joe's characters myself.
That's really nice.
For me. So I sent Steve one.
Interesting to see his characters in your style.
Yeah.
And these are nice illos. These are nice, excellent little profile illos. Joe should publish this. Joe, you should publish this. This is cool. Yeah.
I needed to keep track of the characters. So I drew that.
Yeah. So I referred to this sheet.
That's not all the characters. That's only some of the characters in this.
Right. There's a lot of characters.
Yeah. The thing you have to be careful of with this is here, let me just show you something here. Turn to page 5.
Page 5.
And on page 5, you will see this girl here. You see her with the purple hair?
Yeah, she's from the other dimension.
Right. Now, if you turn to page 6, as soon as you turn to page 6, you will see this girl.
Yeah.
That is not the same girl.
No.
That is a different girl who looks similar to the girl with the purple hair, has the same hairstyle.
Yeah, same hairstyle.
She has brown hair, and she is a different person. So be careful when you look at this.
Be careful.
That's why I kind of had to get a character sheet for myself to keep track.
Yeah. Well, the artwork's really nice in full color.
It's full color. It's and it's
Joe pulling out the stops.
Yeah,
and
it's a complicated story. Let's face it. You better pay attention when you read it, because it's 32 pages. You know, you're talking 32 pages. So yeah, a lot going on. Because they go back and forth through this portal that takes them to actually the land of
Fronteria.
The land of Jinmon.
Fronteria and Jinmon. That's a person, right? Jinmon?
Well, there is a person, but this is the land of Jinmon. There is a person named Jinmon too. But you see, it's like it's not like a planet. It's like a land that they go to.
Yeah. It's like Oz.
Yeah. It's like kind of like that. And they refer to this quite a bit, Fronteria, which is way down in the bottom here of the land. Fronteria, you see that?
I saw that.
Yeah, it's way down in the bottom of this land that they go to.
There's the warrior lady.
Yeah.
Is that purple hair?
Looks like the other lady, but she's not the other lady. She's that lady.
Did you say her hair is purple?
Purple.
Okay, because you know I'm colorblind, right?
Oh yeah, well she's got purple hair. I can tell you that.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
But wow, another great treat, a great issue from Joe. Joe pulls out all the stops. He really does. And,
yeah, you.
Oh, it is the land and realm of Jinmon. You're right. Here's a map of it at the end.
That's what I was showing, the map.
The land of Jinmon.
Yeah. So it's a land. I mean, it's not. It doesn't look like a planet to me.
Yeah.
But I guess it's on the trap planet, I think, but I'm not sure.
I think Jinmon is like the United States, and Fronteria is like a city in the United States. Something like that. I don't know.
I don't think it's in a different dimension or something. Pretty sure because they go through the portal to get to it.
Joe, you want to clear this up for us, Joe?
Joe might have to help a little.
Jinmon, what is Fronteria?
That's the way I saw it anyway.
Great.
Here's the portal. Here's a page. There's the portal they go through. You see that?
There.
That is the portal.
The portal.
And they kind of go back and forth a little bit. Back and forth a little. And the bard, yeah, he's with them before they go through the portal, and then he goes through the portal with them.
Yeah. So, yeah. So it's a little bit of a hair-raising adventure once they get to Jinmon. We got armies at war, and they get caught in the middle of it.
Oh yeah, there's a big battle scene, huge battle scene in here. Yeah.
Yeah, and he has the New People's Journal in the back. Here it is.
Oh yeah, he always does that. And he's got an interview with let's see, who did he interview?
Joe Solis, comic creator, writer, and associate owner of Child's Play Comics. I haven't seen Child's Play Comics.
I think he's Joe's cousin.
Yeah,
I think so.
There's a cover apparently from one of the comics.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like I say, I don't have the light quite right here, but I hope that's okay. So Joe, he gives you a lot, and then he gives you a little more. He's yeah. So you get your money's worth here.
You spend a lot of time in this book. You can read all this. You can follow the story. You can do a lot.
Okay. And it's $75 per copy, and you have to pay the postage.
Mm-hmm. But although if you watch our show, we've got a special. It's only $10 a copy.
$10.
You see our show, yeah. So we're running a special on this. But, you can save yourself quite a bit of money if you buy it.
That cover by Tris Ellis. Oh my gosh, that's terrific.
Yeah. And that's the bard that she's holding there.
Yeah,
that's the bard.
Yeah,
yeah, because he had a rough. We're not going to give it away, but he had a rough time in this issue. So.
Yep. Not having a lot of fun when you get injured.
No.
So.
So anyway, that's Joe. Like I say, $10, 32 pages, plus the People's Journal, a couple more pages, and very cool.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Yep.
Meanwhile, just last night I received from Great Britain, Ugly Mug number 8. Cover. Cool.
From England.
From England.
The UK.
Yeah. From
Harley.
My friend Harley.
Harley in the UK sends us this.
Harley in the UK.
And this is, I don't know how many pages, but it's quite a few. Quite a few pages.
Pages aren't numbered. It's interesting. It's a little different from American comics. That style of humor. The British style of humor is a little different. You know, it's like what? I don't know. The British Monty Python
on steroids.
And a lot of
but some of the stories, quite a bit. They're just, I don't know. They just have a couple of words and the panels are real intricate.
Yeah. Here's a story about That's about a guy in a bear suit.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
he's in a bear suit and he wanders through this jungle.
I do want to mention this is not for kids. This is not for kids. There are some things, not much. There's a few things in here.
A little bit. A little bit.
Little kids should not see. So keep that in mind. I don't know the price. I have no idea, but I will have Harley's information, and you can find out the price from him. Hopefully you have a few pounds that you can spend on it.
Yeah. Well, this story with the bear, that was my favorite story. But there's no contents in the front, so I'm not sure who drew it. If they don't sign it, I'm not sure. But,
well, they have the artists listed. You just have to go to the front there and find them. And I think they're kind of in the middle somewhere. The artists are listed in here because I found it.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember where it was.
I've seen it, but so it may be in here. But everybody does a great job.
Because I looked it up, and I know it's in here, but I can't find it right this second.
More of the bear story. I really like this story. It's a magical adventure. Guy in a bear suit, and yet he becomes pretty much a bear on his own. There's other stuff here. Some of it's a really psychedelic. This one, a Windy Wilberforce, and distinctive and creative artwork.
They're all really different.
Yeah, it's all very imaginative.
I can't find the list of artists. That's what I'm looking for. I know they're in here somewhere.
Imaginative. Bug is here. Yeah, I thought I saw it somewhere.
I can't find it.
It's a big book. You got to flip through to find it.
Yeah, I can't find the doggone thing. Here, there's the list of artists that are in here. Not that.
Okay.
There.
Towards the back?
These are the artists that are featured.
Oh, I got it now.
Yeah.
Billy Derbyshire.
You can use that and then look up the cartoon they did, and you can see who drew it. Okay. But there's things like this. Look at the detail in this.
Yeah.
Not a lot of words. A lot of detail.
That's part of the story that gets a little. That's a particular story you're showing gets a little risque, but you might want to be careful about what you show on the camera.
You gotta watch it. Yeah, that one can be a little.
Like Larned says, it's not too bad as far as the adults.
Not too bad, but there's a couple of F-bombs in there, I think, and But you want something different. You want something different in cartooning and storytelling. Get this, because this is very different. I'm sure you haven't seen anything quite like this.
Wild, unhindered creativity on display.
Yeah.
Every story is quite a little epic in itself,
Yeah.
But a lot of great stuff.
Yeah, but it's just wild.
Yeah.
Well, I really enjoyed this one. This is interesting because there's a music teacher story, but she doesn't wear any clothes. So I never had a music teacher like that in school, but it would have been great.
Well, it depends on what she looked like.
Yeah.
If she's like 85, you don't want to see that. But
yeah, well, that wouldn't be good. Yeah. I don't know what's going on in the cover. I can't explain that.
Yeah, it looks like
there it is.
They're in front of some kind of factory or something.
Some kind of a plant with something over their heads, and
and the back cover is like school children.
Yeah, the kids at the bus stop. You got a crossing guard there, and a kid walking on tin cans.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So
there he goes.
I don't know.
Now,
anyway,
did you get this? Was this in yours?
Yeah, that came with it. I was going to show that. That came with it. Little mini. And it's just figure drawing. This is fine. It's all, just...
it's nudes, but it's tasteful
figures. Just figures, yeah.
Yeah. And
this is issue number 2, as a matter of fact. He's done this before. I don't know if Harley did this himself or somebody else. I don't know if it says.
Yeah, it's just it was enclosed and but it's well done.
But here's the interesting thing. Get this. I have number 46 of 40. It's a limited edition of 40, and I have number 46. What number do you have? What number you have?
Mine have a number on it?
It should. Right inside where it says no leaf.
Right number 47. 47 of 40.
You got 47 of 40. And I have 46 of 40.
Yeah,
so
40.
How special is that?
Gotta be a reprint, man. Gotta be a reprint.
I don't know.
47.
It might be a 40. It might be a joke. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Could be more British humor. I'm not sure.
Yeah, could be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Harley. Well, thanks for sending it, Harley.
Yeah, we've received issues of Ugly Mug before. I remember the first one that. Remember the first one that we received when it was pouring down, raining outside, and my copy arrived completely soaked.
Our copies arrived so much you couldn't even open them. Yeah, you could not even open it.
It got like somebody dropped it in a big mud puddle. Yeah, but it was there for a while.
You know what Harley did? He sent it again. He sent us copies because of that.
That was a thick issue
and that
too.
Is not cheap to do.
Right.
Yeah.
So that really, which really,
that was really nice. Yeah.
Very much appreciated. It was so nice of him.
Yeah.
And to still keep sending these. Yeah, we love this stuff. Yeah, keep coming, Harley. You guys, look at the ordering info down below. It's in the UK, but you'll
try and you'll probably have to contact him, and he'll tell you how to get one. But
worth ordering.
Yeah, it'd be fun for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very much enjoyed this.
Yeah.
We got one more.
All right. Coming up next.
Here it comes. We always save.
Here it is.
The best for last.
Yeah.
Here we go. Steve Willis.
From Steve Willis.
Once again.
Mm-hmm.
Cranium Frenzy, number 38.
This one is very scary to me. Very scary because it has this guy, Wellington Wankles. You see him right there, Wellington Wankles?
That's him. He's a serious looking dude, man.
He is. And what he says is slapstick is cruel, primitive, low form of humor. And he is going to try and stop slapstick humor being used in comic books. If he succeeds, I'm done. I'm finished. Right. if he can do that, I am out of business.
He shows examples. Again, a slapstick comedy, somebody gets hit with a frying pan. You know, it's like ouch, ouch. But in real life,
and he shows what really would happen to you.
Knock off the top of his head, and he's all bandaged.
So he's very much against this kind of humor.
Yeah. What happened to that panel? An anvil. Anvil falls on a guy.
And it killed him.
Yeah, they kind of laugh it off, but in real life, it would have meant
it would kill you. Yeah.
Curtains. R.I.P.
Yeah.
So, and this guy is so darn serious.
He's not kidding around.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look at him.
Look how serious he is.
Yep.
He's very serious, and he ain't playing. And he says, as he goes along, he says, admit it, you are probably looking forward to seeing a stuck, upright, cranky critic like me getting a pie in the face as a punchline, aren't you? Come on,
Yes.
admit it.
I admit it. That's what I was hoping.
It's not going to happen. And then he just shows you.
Yeah.
Panel by panel. You're expecting it. You're expecting it. But it doesn't happen.
It does not happen in that page. He just looks cranky. Period.
There's another story about cats. Everywhere you look is a cat. This reads like Dr. Seuss. It reads kind of like Dr. Seuss. It might be a song, but you see cats everywhere.
Well, take a look at this cat in this bottom panel and note what he is holding.
He has a pie.
He has a pie.
He's next to the Sebastian Cabot.
Sebastian Cabot is there, but that cat has a pie.
Yeah.
Now,
and that's it. You see him there, and you don't see him right away after that.
No, I don't. Other things go on.
But the Dr. Seuss like poetry. Everywhere I look, there is a cat. They're curled up in the cupboard. They're under my hat. There's one in my chair. He's reading a book. There is a cat everywhere I look. So it sounds like Dr. Seuss.
Yeah.
That cadence and everything, and the type of rhyming. Oh, there's another reoccurring thing, which is this thing.
Do presidents actually exist? I'm not sure that they do, but
if you haven't seen one,
have you actually seen one in person? I have not.
I have.
You have?
Bill Clinton.
Bill Clinton? Okay. Well,
he was running out of his life at the time, and it was in the news and everything, and that's when I saw Bill Clinton. But I respected the fact that this is the president of the United States. If he's a womanizer, that's beside the point. This is the president, so we're going to respect him at least this week, and the next week we'll vote for the other guy. But same thing. He's the president, so you got to give him.
Once again, there's a cat carrying a pie at the end of this story.
Yeah, a cat keeps popping up there. Do presidents actually exist?
Yeah.
So
it goes on, and then we come back to our friend.
There's a theme. There is a theme.
Inside back page.
But there's a theme. Hoopy doopy, hoopy doopy, hoopy doopy, hoopy doo. This pops up here and there. This theme.
Yeah. You have to say that.
Yeah. As you see, cosmic stuff happening here. Something comes down from the sky and it lands in Jebby Touchscreen McGooby Gibby's regular morning glass of rutabaga juice. So something lands in his rutabaga juice, and he drinks it, and eventually a little guy pops out of his mouth.
Yeah, they start coming out. Yeah.
Now I don't think we can give away the last page.
Well, I don't think so. I don't think you can give away this last page. The back cover.
It's too
we're
funny.
We're not going to give away the back cover because it's very important to the story. So we're not.
I want to. I really want to.
Oh, I do too. I want to, but I'm not going to. We're not going to do it.
Since you have to send him a trade, right? Yeah, I'm dying to, but I don't want to destroy the punchline.
You got to send a trade or stamps to, or something like that, to Steve Willis.
Yeah.
You can't buy this, but you can trade for it. And you really ought to, especially if you want to see
Steve Willis, man. How he's produced such a body of work. It's incredible how much stuff he's producing. And even now, it's just at a rapid pace. Every other week, we get one of these, and everyone is good or better than the one we got before.
Oh yeah,
I mean, you can use that word genius. I mean, that's an overused word, right?
But not in his case.
It's brilliant. He's brilliant. This
and
stuff
then
is really
Morty Comics. He sent me Morty Comics number. Let me see the number on here. 9,206. This is Morty Comics.
Yeah. I got 9,215 and also number 9,310. Yeah.
I've got 9,299 here, a little comic. So this is a little mini comic that he sent me.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, and these are original now. These are not prints of any kind. This is the only one like this.
One, Andre's hat wore a hat.
Oh, yeah, yeah. All right. Yeah, and a head. He wore a head and a hat. I'll be nice.
The head and the hat, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a guy. Soap, water, and a good scrubbing failed to erase any trace of the face from his palm. You see the face in the palm there.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, read this on the back of a saltine cracker box.
Yeah.
On the back. What you got? When the
ghost made a mistake, he made a boo-boo.
A boo-boo.
The ghost made a boo-boo. And his head came off.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Just crazy, just genius. I just
oh my
he's like the funniest. Steve Willis is like the funniest guy out there.
Yeah.
And we did that interview with him, and he doesn't act like Red Skelton crazy. He's a normal guy. Seemingly normal guy, living a normal life, going to the post office with his bug in the butt, is putting stuff up
on a bulletin board. High enough that she can't reach it. Yeah.
But he's a great guy. And the video that we did when we interviewed Steve Willis, that video's got like 500 views now. It's got the most views of any of our videos.
Interviews, I think.
Which goes to show you people really appreciate what Steve Willis is doing.
Everybody knows him. Yeah.
One of a kind, funny as heck. And just in all of that kind of talent.
Well, if you'd like your comic book featured on here, we will try to promote it the best we can. You just need to send me a copy and Steve a copy. And our addresses are in the description down below. So,
Yep. And if you haven't ordered your copy of Tetragrammaton Fragments number 276, which I published, John Muller cover, you can still order that from me. Yeah. What is it? $3 a copy? I forget. Send me $3. That'll work. But
excuse me I gotta run off 1 second. I'll be right back.
Okay. Now Larned's gone. Let's talk about him behind his back. Larned's a great guy. He's a great guy. Larned is a great guy. Hoopy doopy doo. Oh yeah, the United Fanzine Organization Tetragrammaton Fragments is the newsletter for the United Fanzine Organization. It's worked by Joe Elliott Carrales on the back, and the new issue, the issue coming up. There's another issue of Tetragrammaton Fragments coming up in a couple of weeks. I'm not publishing it because I took a break so I could go to the Philippines, and I turned it over to Rob Imes, a former chairman of the UFO, and now he's acting as an emergency chairman. He's a stand-in when I can't make it for whatever reason. Rob's taking over, so he's going to have a new issue coming out soon. So, if you're keeping track of that sort of thing, UFO newsletter, you send me a request, or if you're real nice, if you send me a comic, I'll just send you a free copy. So Rob's published in the next issue. So yeah.
All right. Well, we did it. We'd like to do these shows a little more often. If we can get comics, we will do it. Yeah.
If you can keep me in the country long enough.
Yeah, we got to keep him in the country, and he's threatening to leave again, I guess. A few more months.
Maybe not.
Oh, okay.
Maybe she's coming to visit me in a few months.
Oh, so, that'd be great. Yeah.
So
get her on the show here.
We'll see how it goes. Folks, I'm having a romantic adventure now. My life is changing. I'm so full of it.
Full of it? Great.
Full of it.
Oh.
I'm full of flowers and sunshine and fluffy stuff. It is good to be in a relationship again after
I'm sure.
several
Yeah.
years, you know.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not getting any younger. I need somebody, a companion.
There you
Larned's
go.
great. Larned's great, but I'm not about
Kind
to
of a
kiss
long
him.
distance companion.
Yeah, long distance. Yeah. So, well, thanks for tuning in, folks. We love you.
I think we're going to wrap this up about an hour. That's how long we usually go. So,
yeah.
All right, we will see you in the next show, whenever that is. Make sure that you subscribe and hit that bell notification so you do know when we're doing a show. So
next show should be pretty soon.
Yeah,
should be pretty soon.
We're going to say goodbye. We will see you next time.
Okay.
Well, hi, and welcome to Talking Small Press Comics, episode number 77, with Steve Keeters, whose head just popped in there, and me, Larned Justin. Now, what has Steve got there?
We all live in a yellow submarine. This is yellow, right?
That part of it is, yes.
Is it? Really?
Yeah.
Really? How's this? What color is
That's
this?
yellow.
You know I'm colorblind. I thought it was orange. Darn, you screwed up my joke.
It might be orange. It's hard to tell on video.
This one's yellow.
I thought that's yellow. Yeah.
Yellow?
Maybe the other ones are more
in a yellow submarine. Okay, yeah. Forget it. I had an elaborate joke all planned, but it's...
Okay.
It's a colorblind joke.
All right.
Okay. I'm no coward. I'm not yellow. Not really. I'm orange. I'm pretty sure I'm orange. This is my Puerto Rico.
It's pretty orangey, yeah.
Isla del Encanto.
Puerto
Rico. Yeah. Never been there, but I got one of their shirts, so that's almost like being there.
Well, what the heck?
What the heck? If you got a shirt, it's just like being there, only you're not.
Yeah. Do you have any comics we can talk about?
I got some comics.
Okay.
I think this one might have a yellow cover. I think it's a yellow cover.
Oh yeah, well, that is interesting.
Let's save this.
We have got to do a little apology to Rick because he sent these to us before you went on your vacation.
Yeah.
And I put mine in the drawer, and I'm sure you did too. And when you got back and we did our first show, these were buried, so we didn't get to do them. We didn't do them, and I have to apologize to Rick. That's terrible. We don't usually do stuff like that. We missed these.
Now that I showed that, we're going to start with this one.
Oh, you're going to start with that one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway.
I'll explain why eventually.
Okay, well, all right.
I'm full of surprises. I have so many surprises for you guys today. You're going to be so surprised.
Okay. All right. So you have the Pie Man.
Chuck Bunker. The great Chuck Bunker.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's the Pie Man fights Bridezilla.
The Pie Man versus Bridezilla.
And he says right on here, well, I guess not all brides are beautiful. And I think we'll find out why. And
Chuck Bunker, Chuck is an old friend of ours, an old friend definitely of mine. I met him first in Chicago in 1986, about there. Chicago Comics Convention, and Chuck was a riot. He was really funny. Matt Fiesel has video of him and of everybody else at that particular convention, and Chuck was real funny. I remember he did a little routine for the camera where he was acting like a gosh wild fanboy, you know. And he had one like Scott McCloud's zines, and he says, "Oh gosh, gee Willie, gosh, well, if you ever see the video of the Chicago convention that Matt Fiesel, I don't know if he still has it to offer, but But it's a riot. You know, that particular scene, Chuck kind of stole the show from everybody.
Really?
Now, many years later.
Yeah, quite a few years later, he did this.
Yeah, and Chuck is back. He disappeared for several decades, like some of us did.
Yeah, that happens. This doesn't. I couldn't find a price on this. Did you? I can't find a price on it. It's 9 pages, but I can't find the price.
I'm sure if you send Chuck about $3 or $4.
Well, yeah, you know.
There he is. There's Chuck.
There he is. Yeah, right there.
Older, but just as happy as ever, just as amiable. And there's a picture below of Jeff Wood, the creator of Snow Bunny, also a friend. Also, he was at that particular convention.
Yeah.
And these two.
Oh, did you get him too? Okay.
Yeah, Jeff helped on this comic as well.
Yeah.
I believe he came up with the story idea, the plot. Yeah. And he also did the digital text. And then
Chuck starts out in Happy Bakery, which is nice. Yeah, right there in the Happy Bakery. That's where it starts out. And then this customer comes in.
Right.
Which is not a good sign, probably. And she turns out to be a handful. Really. In fact, if you look on right here in this panel, there's what she turns into.
Let me see. I'm Wilda's little sister, Fancy Flowers. I think she's the sister of the person. What happened? I'll tell you what happens though. This guy's going to get married, and he goes to the Pie Man to build a gigantic wedding cake. Yeah. And he wants to see the bride. For some reason, he doesn't know what she looks like. It's like she's wearing this veil, and
yeah. Like when you get married, I guess you don't always know what the bride is.
She says, "Oh no, not here." But somewhere along the lines, well, at the wedding, I guess, clap, clap, clap. He asks her, "Can I kiss you?" And she reveals herself to be, where is it? Right here. The Bridezilla. Yeah. She looks like a Godzilla.
Yeah.
So he's a little startled, as you could imagine a groom would be.
Yeah. He was a little upset about that.
I don't know if she was a mail order bride or what, but
I don't know why he didn't ever know what she looked like. But
apparently he didn't know she looked like that, and not only that, she was
and then she starts throwing the cake around, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, starts getting into the cake and throwing it around, and heck, they have to have the Pie Man come in and save the day.
Yeah. So the Pie Man shows up.
Yeah. Man, he's down here.
He's the hero.
In this big panel here.
Adjust this lighting a little bit, I think.
So
the Pie Man is the hero.
Yeah, he has to save the day.
Yep.
And save this great big cake. You know.
It's amazing that no two people put the two and two together. That this guy who makes pies and the superhero Pie Man are actually one and the same. But for some reason,
they are. You would never guess it.
You'd never guess it. Just like Clark Kent puts on the glasses.
Clark Kent and Superman.
Yeah. Kind of. You'd never guess.
You'd never guess.
So same height.
They're the same
muscular guys. Just put on the glasses and nobody knows who you are.
You couldn't tell who he was.
That could be like me. Who knows who I really am? If I take these glasses off, you people might be astonished.
Probably.
I might be like Elvis or Ronald Reagan or somebody, you know.
And then we have incoming pies. So there's letters and things like that in the back.
Yeah, and that's why there's a letter here from Rick Bradford. You see? Of
That's why you were waiting?
That's why I was waiting.
Okay.
So there's a Rick Bradford reference right here. So there you go.
Anyway, there is one more story in here. A 2-page story in the back that I don't want to give away, but it is in here.
Zilly Zachary and Grover Toledo. There's another one. Floyd Flamdoozle. These are characters that Chuck has had for. I mean, these characters have been around for 40 years or so. You know.
Yeah.
Chuck,
still wrong.
Zany as ever, still doing crazy offbeat stuff, and he's
and then he advertises the next issue. There's the next issue coming out on the back page.
The Muffin Man. The Muffin Man Rises. What
the
a title.
Muffin Man, probably versus the Pie Man, you think?
Whoa. Yeah. Well, that's the Pie Man there.
Yeah.
Maybe his muffins are competition for pies. Yeah. I don't know, man.
I don't know.
You gotta watch out, you know.
We'll find out in the next issue.
A black coat and a black hat.
Yeah, that's always a bad guy. You
know something's up right there.
Yeah, that gives it away right there. You know he's a bad guy.
Yeah. Got to thank Chuck Bunker. Chuck.
Yep.
Sorry, we meant to review it last time, but Larned didn't get his copy in time, so no problem. Same with Rick. Similar.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Rick sent these. They're just samples of the kind of things that he has in the database, and
if you don't know about
by Brad Foster here, or you got Wag Rag.
Isn't that what you're looking at?
I was going to look at the Brad Foster one, but this is
Wag Rag. Okay, Wag Rag was on the outside here, and all this other stuff was on the inside, and it's all falling out.
And it fell out. Yeah.
So but I thought this
just
was
a 2-page story with some cool art.
Yeah.
A little bit small to read, and this print here is a little bit small, but anyway, that's that one, and that is by, let me see, Mark David Dietz and George Ehring.
Well, you see what's on the back. What's on the back? Now, let me tell you I want to say something about Rick Bradford really quickly, and I'm going to show you something.
Okay.
Rick Bradford has been publishing Poop Sheet.
Right.
He published Poop Sheet for decades, for many years. Here's an issue. Let's see, I got an issue here. This is from January 1994. And he used to publish this as a digest and maybe a mini-sized magazine as well. But it was a way to get in touch with other people. Has a lot of information about the zines and all that are out there, the comics that are being made. And he mentioned something in here, and I just happened to see it, where the Poop Sheet was relegated to the back of this Wag Rag. So, well, actually, it's online. You have to go to his website because it's very comprehensive. And he has an as comprehensive.
But, here's what I wanted to ask you. Maybe you know. It's a database of comics, but it's not a distributorship, right? He doesn't sell those comics.
Rick is trying
database, right?
Rick is trying to collect information about every single small press comic or zine ever published.
Right.
And if you go to his Poop Sheet website, I'm sure Larned will put the link down below.
Yeah, I'll have all that info on
everything I've ever published. In fact, he told me that I got a message from him, and you know, I used to do a Beacon. The Beacon is a character of mine. I didn't create him, but I've been writing for years. And he mentioned that see, I have been sending out a Beacon Christmas card. I used to send it out every year. There were a few years that I didn't. I sent one out the year before last, but I don't think I sent one out. It's a Christmas card with my character, the Beacon, and it's a joke, but it's a Christmas card. And so Rick said he didn't realize, because he's putting together this database and he's putting together information about the Beacon Christmas card, which I'm surprised to see anybody doing that. He said he didn't realize how many there were. So yeah. So that's kind of flattering. I appreciate that, Rick.
He sent a little note here. Let's make some comics, and he gives you some ideas to make some mini comics, which I might use. They're kind of good ideas there. You know, you can do one weird clowns. That would be good. A self-portrait. One on eyeballs.
Eyeballs, yep.
Yeah. Weird insects.
That'd be a darn good comic. Eyeballs.
Sci-fi, and of course, superheroes. And Marvel, DC, superhero, humor, or spoof. Good ideas. And then you can send it to him, and he'll put it in his database. And people will look at that and maybe you know, buy one of your comics from you, not him.
There's a bunch of little stuff in here. You know, there's a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
There's a sticker. I'm not sure
Oh,
who did it.
I don't think I got a sticker.
You didn't get that sticker? He probably sent you stuff I didn't get, and me stuff you didn't get. And
no, I might have got that. I got
speaking
that.
of Jeff Wood, here's a bookmark drawn by Jeff Wood.
Mm-hmm. I got that.
That's kind of cool. That's really cool.
This Brad Foster little comic too.
You mentioned Brad Foster, and I interrupted you. I'm so sorry.
Look at the artwork there.
Weird robots.
It's a couple pages. You know, only a couple pages, but very cool.
Somebody else did the back.
And I'll have his information from all these people that sent these little comics. I'll put that in there in the description below. We got another one here.
There's a weird story in there. It's on dark paper. I don't know why you can see that, but
it's a little hard to read in red, but it's okay.
There's a lady who goes to work for a company that makes robots.
Right, yeah.
And well, without giving away, I'm not going to give away the ending, but she begins seeing herself as a robot in the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
And she ends up on a psychiatrist count. I think I could show. That's hard to see with this lighting. My lighting is not.
Yeah, it's very hard to see.
But she ends up on a psychiatrist couch, and you can guess what happens.
I saw that.
You can guess. I'm not going to tell you.
And somebody named Alessi.
Alessi.
Alessi. Neon Jungle Comics.
Kind of
once again, it's just a little mini with some wild artwork.
Yeah, it's very punkish, very punk.
Yeah,
free Manson. I mean, come on.
Pretty cool.
But yeah, savage-looking back cover.
If I don't, I'm trying to see if I have this person's address or not. I don't know, but if I think I do. I'll include that. Yeah. So anyway,
Rick's it's on the inside of Wag Rag right here.
Yeah, but I was trying to give the credit to these other.
Oh yeah, the other guys.
Yeah.
This is cool because even now he sends out. This is kind of a sampler of stuff that Rick sees out there. It is worth sharing.
Pretty neat of them. Pretty nice of them also to send that out. And we almost forgot about it. Yeah.
Something called Blood Dessert.
Adam Eater. Adam. Yeah, that's Adam.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's in color.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Very cool. I can see the blue. I am colorblind. Actually, I can see the difference between yellow and orange. I just screwed up my joke. But shades of green that I actually have a problem with. We'll have to deal with that some other time. I remember early issues of Tales to Astonish with the Hulk in them. And sometimes he looked more the green, and sometimes he kind of looked a lighter shade of green. But I remember, to me, the lighter shade of green that they sometimes printed him in looked brown. But that's
really?
That's because I had this problem even then when I was a kid, and I didn't realize it. Green and brown kind of look alike to me, and gray, you know. Yeah. Nonetheless, I dye my mustache. I trust that that what it says on the box is true. This is light brown.
No, Steve, it's green, a light green. I'm sorry. I should have told you that.
Oh, man, nobody told me all these years.
I'm sorry. I should have said something. All right, what's the next comic?
Oh, we got so much stuff. This one's from, you got this one from John Muller?
Yes, I do. This is from John Muller.
And it's a UFO zine.
Yeah. Now, he sent a little note or a little sheet with it. And this is, he calls this a one-shot. This story...
People don't always fill this out. Usually people don't fill this out.
I know, and that really helps us a lot because we didn't know if this was a continuing story, that we didn't get the other, issues. But I don't think so. I think it's designed maybe to advertise an upcoming full-size comic or something like that. But look at the artwork. Because it's John Muller.
John is
That's the kind of artwork you get.
He's
Professional.
an excellent artist. Yeah, absolutely.
Pro level artwork.
Yeah. He's got a story in here about this little rabbit-like creature, some alien creature. He escaped from the body. He's got a big robot body. Yeah, this lady is after him, trying to shoot him.
Yeah, yeah. We don't quite know why, and maybe that's on purpose. But
well, if you look, you have to look very carefully at that first panel. He was inside this robot body. It looks like she blew the head off, and his 2 rabbit ears are coming up out of this. So he was inside this armor. Yeah. And he comes out, and he's not such, a tough-looking guy. He looks like a robot, a little rabbit guy.
So anyway,
yeah,
this is $2 from Muller, $2, and it's 7 pages. And it's, I think, he calls it a one-shot. I think it's kind of maybe a prelude to something he's going to be doing.
The UFO checklist on the back. So
I thought I got the UFO checklist.
Yeah, he has lots of ideas, and his artwork is always incredible.
His artwork is
when you see some of his covers,
it's pro level.
Some of the covers that he's done. He does covers for Tetragrammaton Fragments, the UFO newsletter. He's done quite a few of those, and every one was outstanding. Do I have one? Let me see.
You might.
I do have one. The most recent issue. He did this cover.
Yeah. Full color. Nice. Yeah,
that's John's artwork.
Mm-hmm.
Superb, especially on the science fiction stuff. John didn't get a big head. Do get a big head. As long as it keeps you creating and it keeps you motivated, get a big head.
I'm not sure what you mean by that, but okay.
Yeah. I have good intentions.
Yeah.
Flattery will get you everywhere. That's what I've heard,
Okay.
Oh, my goodness. I got kind of sinus problems today. That's an ongoing thing. I got allergies, and I live in Central Florida. Greatest place on the planet if you want to live with your allergies.
Underwater, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, these palm trees all have pollen all over them, and it gets all over your car and everything. Next thing you know, you're sniffling and sneezing.
So does the hurricanes get all over your car?
Yep. Hurricanes too. We just had one of those like a week ago, a little over a week ago.
Yeah, I think we know that. Yeah.
But,
if you watch the news at all, you would know that. Yeah.
Got through that okay, no problem. It's just it rained a lot. Well, we're not in a flood area here. We're kind of higher ground, and so we really didn't have any problems here. Other people did, and I feel sorry for them. But we did okay right here. We only lost power for like 15 minutes, and that was it.
Great.
And that was at the beginning of the hurricane.
Don't have power yet.
Really. Yeah. So
there's people there's people that don't have power yet today.
That's right. Yeah. But it's even worse because there's that other hurricane that was up there in the mountains in North Carolina.
Yeah.
And what's that? Leach? Yeah, but they're not used to that at all.
Oh no.
I've been to the mountains.
Completely unexpected.
Yeah, they have like houses that are up on cliffs and stuff, and up on the side of, but they're just the side of mountains, and they're just not expecting. Like the last time I was there on vacation with my family back in those days, we stayed in a cabin in the mountains, and you just walk a few feet out the front yard, and you're looking straight down. I don't know how many hundreds of feet, but you're looking straight down. It's like, and people live right there like you're living on a cliff.
Yeah.
And but everything is, it's so a really severe storm like this hasn't hit North Carolina in I don't know how many decades but they really weren't prepared for that.
Right.
At least in Florida, we're pretty prepared. We know what's coming. Yeah. We know what to do. We've been through it, but I think that one, and that's tragic because I think like at least 100 people, maybe more, lost their lives. Maybe a couple of hundred.
Oh yeah, it's over 100 for sure.
But anyway.
Okay, what do you got next?
We're here to talk about happy things.
All right.
So we got the new YEET.
Okay. Yeah, this is YEET. This is now you can check me on this. This is $5, but you have to be a Patreon to get it. Is that how that works?
Yeah, theoretically, it says 10 cents on the front though.
I know.
Maybe
That's
if you try spending 10
trying
cents
to
to
do
buy
a little
the
throwback.
look, Mike, it said message to Mike, said, Mike, it says 10 cents on the cover. And Mike said, yeah, 10 cents, but it's $4.95 for postage.
Yeah. So it's $5, and
Yeah, $5.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, you're supposed to be a Patreon to buy it, but it's only $5. I mean, it doesn't matter whether you're.
I think you can order, but generally, the
But
best
I
way
mean,
to go is to be a
$5
Patreon.
is $5. He doesn't charge you for being a Patreon unless you buy the comic.
So I get these every couple of months, whenever they come out. I'm not sure who did that cover. It's not Steve Shipley, I know that. Steve Shipley's on the inside. We got
It's Mike DeSanzio,
Mark DeStasio.
Bill Carter, and Shane Luttrell did the cover.
Oh, there's a story by them inside called Sundown by those guys.
I think they did. I think that's the cover too.
There's an ad on the inside front cover. It's a fake movie ad.
Yeah.
For a movie starring
By
Steve
Steve
Shipley's
Shipley.
Steve Shipley's Space Sheriff.
Yeah.
Steve has published several issues of Space Sheriff.
And there's one tall, skinny cowboy there.
One tall, skinny cowboy. It says starring Clint Westwood, Walter Brennan, and Sophia Loren. So it's not Clint Eastwood, Walter Brennan, and Sophia Loren. It's these other folks.
Yeah.
Because I guess Steve didn't want to get sued by anybody's estate or whatever, So, although Clint Eastwood's still around.
Yeah. And then here's the first story in here. Let me get this. Here's the first story called Midnight Marshal in Sundown. Sundown's a little town.
Wow.
And that's the marshal there riding his horse.
Yeah.
So this is done in a flashback because you see him coming into town, and he's already looking for some bad guys as he rides into town.
Bum, bum, bum. I don't listen to good.
Yeah.
You get it. The good, the bad, and the ugly.
You can see what he looks like here, because this is important to see what he looks like. You see with the bandana off, you can see his face. Okay, remember that now when you look through the story, because it flashes back to when he goes home down in the second half of this page.
Yeah.
Is a flashback when he goes home and discovers that his family has been killed.
Yep. His family was killed. Not just killed by anybody, but it's killed by...
And then he kind of hits the bottle here, which anybody would do.
Yeah.
And so he's drinking pretty heavy. And then he hears a knock at the door. And the door opens. Now, this was a little confusing to me. There's a sheriff there, but that's not him. That's why I told you to look at his face. This is a different sheriff.
The sheriff is trying to kill these people are vampires.
Yeah, they turned into zombies or vampires or something.
Yeah, I think they're vampires.
And this sheriff is telling the original guy here, I forgot his name, John or something, get behind me. He's trying to tell him, get behind me, get behind me.
Right.
Because the guy says, well, that's my son. He says, no, that is not your son anymore.
Yeah. Okay, this is in the flashback.
Yeah.
It's not his son because he's been turned into a vampire.
Right.
A monster. So they've transformed his family and ends up having to battle his own family.
Then it flashes back to the present day, and he's in that town looking for the murderers. I don't know how he knows who the murderers were, but he is looking for them. He knows who they are. And story kind of goes on from there. He's hunting them down.
Yeah, he becomes the Midnight Marshal somehow at this point. He becomes the Midnight Marshal, dedicated to tackling forces that only go out at night, the evil forces, horrific forces.
That's
supernatural forces.
And these are the ones that killed his family, the first ones that he finds. But anyway.
His sacred duty. No unholy monster is safe from him carrying out his nocturnal brand of justice. The Midnight Marshal.
Yeah, so that's future stories will probably feature the Midnight Marshal doing some kind of zombie hunting or something.
Yeah. And then we come to some stories that are related, but that are quite different.
That's what I noticed that too. The theme in these stories is a little bit the same. It's like somebody killed their family and now they're going to get revenge, kind of thing.
Yeah, but this story by Lynn Miholovich, drawn by Phil Miller, has got superb artwork. Really nice artwork, as good as you'll see.
Oh, the artwork in that is really, really good.
Artwork.
Yes. Excellent artwork in here. Yeah. Look at that.
It has to do with another guy. This guy is the Sheriff Jones. He's a sheriff.
Yeah, he's a sheriff.
Of this town.
And I almost think there was a real Sheriff Jones. I may be wrong. I was going to look that up. This may be based on a real character. I don't know.
But, he's trying to keep the town safe, and so he goes after these gangs and stuff.
Yeah.
But at one point, eventually, he meets his match. And I have to tell this part of the story because if you look at the Steve Shipley stories that follow this, they seem to be a sequel to this particular story. He meets his match, goes to his maker, but his wife survives.
That carries on, yes.
Yeah. And you can see this incredible artwork. There's so much expression here. The line work is fantastic. And she vows to carry on. And you think, right here she is with the gun. And you think, wow, what's on the next page?
Did we say the artist's name is Phil Miller? Did you say that?
Yeah, Phil Miller. And a story written by Lynn Miholovich. Now, Steve Shipley has a couple of stories in here. Because now she's a widow, right? Steve Shipley has a story that appears to be a continuation of these other stories. I don't know how had he seen those stories before? It looks like he did. It looks like this takes off with the other stories.
It kind of. Yeah, the same type of thing. Somebody has killed her family, and she is seeking revenge.
She's a
widow.
I
think a lot of cowboy stories are kind of like that, or what? I don't know, but
she's going after the people who killed her husband.
Perfect. Yeah.
And she has a sidekick there, a Native American sidekick, and they work together. And there's just two stories. I think
she doesn't speak much. The Indian girl.
Yeah.
Mentions she doesn't. Although she does speak a little, but basically she doesn't.
And Steve Shipley has an entirely different art style. Now, Steve Shipley's my great friend for 50 years. We're so close, he even has the same birthday as me, April 20th. That's his birthday.
How did he do that?
I don't know. He planned it somehow. He saw my birthday.
Pretty neat.
He worked out, even though he's 2 years older than me, but still he worked it out somehow.
Man.
And, but yeah, his art. His artwork is a little more cartoony.
And this doesn't. I know this is Steve Shipley's artwork, but it looks a little different than he usually does. I wonder how old this is. I don't know.
He does a good job. He does a good job on the screens that he uses.
Yeah, I don't know if this may be a little older or who knows. I don't know. But it looks like this character, the widow, is going to keep on. Look at that. There she is. Yeah. It looks like she's going to be featured in more stories.
Right, there she is. She puts on black leather, I guess, and a black mask and a black hat.
Yeah.
The funny thing is that anybody who noticed the other lady that came into town, dressing in a white dress and all this stuff, I wonder if it occurred to them that if this black clad vigilante woman all of a sudden appears at the same time as the other woman, that they might be one and the same. But again, it's that Clark Kent Glasses. It's
Yeah.
the glasses Clark Kent thing.
Very, nobody would ever know. You know, nobody would ever be able to figure that out.
You could guess.
You can guess at it, but you wouldn't know for sure.
And there's some other artwork here. Our friend John Muller appears again.
Look at that.
The two gun deals. So obviously, this is an all-Western issue, quite obviously. This one is by Kent Clark.
And this one, the Indian, is by Rob Cox. Look at that. Indian. Woo, nice.
And this is really a good issue of YEET. We even got a little Joe Ellie Carrales at the end here. Our buddy Joe Carrales. He's got something right at the end there, so he must have something planned. I think whoever started this Western stuff, was it Steve Shipley or was it was somebody else? Larry Johnson is doing Westerns. All of a sudden, Westerns are not in the theaters, but in the comics, at least in the small press comics, Westerns are in now. They're back. And so
I think this is a fake ad here from
Joe Carrales.
Joe.
The Improbable Girl and the Wonder Kitty.
I think it's a fake ad, but it's cool.
Oh, it's supposed to be a TV show.
Yeah.
Tuesday, September 17th. Check your local listings. The YEET Broadcasting Networks. The YEET Broadcasting Network.
Yeah.
All right. This is probably best issue of YEET I've seen in a while, and there are a lot of good ones, but this is a really good one. This one's kind of stands out, you know. I like that one. It's different. Dare to be different. And Mike Jones and all his friends, whom we all are, they're doing it. They're being different. Well, we got one more.
We got one more, and this is a whooper-doo. This is really something.
This one is a butt kicker.
Tales from the Morgue. The King Kong issue.
Issue number 9.
And this is from Ken Leach. This is number 9. And I'm sorry, I don't remember getting any of the other ones, but I would have liked to.
I have most of the other ones somewhere in my collection. Maybe all of them, I'm not sure. But
and this is $7.
It's been around for a while, Tales from the Morgue.
$7. I don't know how many pages. I didn't count them, but they're not numbered. But
you see on the inside back cover, you have this is Ken himself.
Yeah.
So there he is right there with a young lady.
He's on the top of the building fighting off the airplanes.
And it looks exactly like him, I can tell you that. I have seen him. I think we have an old video of the Chicago con. Like I mentioned this earlier, in 1986. Yeah. I think I saw him in that video. Ken, were you in Chicago at that convention in 1986? I swear I saw him go by in that video. And I'm pretty sure it was him. So, yep, and apparently he hasn't changed a bit. It looks exactly the same, at least by this drawing.
Now, the first story in here is by Tim Corrigan in 1993, After King Kong. Okay? This story, in my opinion, if this was the only story in the book, it would be worth the price of the book. To me, it's that good.
It's a riot.
The guy was a comic genius. Let me just show you one thing, because you really need to read it all. I don't want to give it away, but I had to show you this one series. There's 3 panels down at the bottom of this page, right here. And let me read those to you. First, take a look at it. And then what it says is, I'd like to speak to Mr. Johnson. This guy is coming in to talk to Mr. Johnson. And the secretary says, in regard to what? And he said, in regard to a huge body blocking the road outside the Empire State Building, which is King Kong has fallen off the building and he's blocking the road. And but she says, okay, I'll ring him. So she calls up Johnson and she says, Mr. Johnson, your wife was passed out again somewhere near downtown. Shall I send someone to pick her up? To me, that's very funny.
Now, Tim Corrigan, Mr. Johnson looks like there was 2 characters, Fred and Marvin.
Well, Tim Fred and Marvin, but they have different. names in the beginning of this story. Yeah,
Right.
it's Fred and Marvin. Oh, yeah.
They become characters in the story
Mr.
under,
Johnson is
under
Fred,
different
but
names.
he has a different name in this, Mr. Johnson.
So yeah. So
Oh my gosh.
he's not worried about this giant gorilla laying outside, you know.
Yeah. King Kong is falling off the building and he's laying in the road, and they are telling Marvin, you better pick him up. You better get him out of there. You know, that's what this whole thing is based on. He's running around trying to figure out how to get a giant monkey off the street.
Yeah. And then his wife shows up. This guy, Mr. Johnson's wife shows up. She's no sweetheart. I mean, she's hideous. I think there's even a note here where he's saying she looks worse than King Kong, and she looks worse than a gorilla.
Yeah.
Well, she said, "I need some more money for booze," and he's like, sweetie pie, he's romantic. Darling, you look simply ravaged. Not ravaging. He says, you look simply ravaged. What can I do for my sweetie? This is a hilarious story. The Tim was so great, man. Tim was so great. This stuff, he could just sit there and draw.
Was a genius at comedy.
Yeah.
Comedy writing.
He could and draw the stuff off the top of his head.
So good.
So, in the end, the mayor is angry at Carl Denham, spelled D-E-N-I-M.
Denham was the guy that got
He's
King
angry.
Kong. Yeah.
He wants to throw him off the Empire State Building.
Well, he's going to throw Marvin off because he didn't clean up the mess. But
yeah, there's a giant gorilla laying in the street there. They don't know what to do with it. He goes to a taxidermist and everything, trying to figure out, are we going to get rid of this thing?
He tried everything. He even went to McDonald's and talked to Ronald McDonald.
Ronald McDonald, yeah.
Trying to help, get somebody help him.
Yeah, so it's just a riot. It's just a riot.
But then this comic does not stop there. It just keeps going with all kinds of King Kong one-shot comics, little strips, all kinds of stuff by everybody you can think of.
Yeah,
everybody in small press that you can think of is in this.
Alan Freeman has a very realistic page showing the creators of King Kong, the actors, etc. And but there's a lot of funny stuff in here too.
I was just going to say, look at the artist list.
In the front.
Maybe.
Enormous.
I don't know if you read that on your screen or not, but
Dan Gardner.
Everybody you can think of that's in small press except me.
Don Martinek. I wasn't in this one either. He asked me to be in the next one. Now he's actually going to do Aliens. Next issue is going to be an Aliens issue. So
I'm going to do something for that.
I'll see what I can do. We got Tommy Hearn. We got several pages from Larry Blake.
Yes.
Sent in just
right before he passed away. He sent these in. Yeah. So they're very special. That's toward the back of the book. But
here's a story by who is this? Eric Jansen, the Shadow Avenger, stamping out crime. This was drawn in a rather more realistic style, and
the Shadow Avenger. Look at that. Isn't that cool?
He's been captured. He's he's a hero. And he's trying. He gets captured by these mob guys that he's trying to eliminate them, and they almost eliminate him. It's really dramatic, and you get to the story at the very end. He's trapped at the end of an alley. Should I show them what happens?
I guess you could. The
bad guy chases him.
Well, I was going to say one thing first.
What do you got?
He's a superhero. Got his hands tied behind his back, and he can't get them undone.
Right.
So go ahead with what happens.
It's kind of like the Punisher, I think. But he does eventually get free, and he runs to the end of an alley, and this guy in the bowler hat here, whatever you call it, is right behind him. And this is the end of the line when all of a sudden this big foot comes down.
King Kong fella.
Yeah, so you wonder... how does this relate to King Kong? Well,
there it is. There it is. Wow.
Just happened to step on this particular guy at this particular time.
Right in the opportune moment.
And the story is great because it's dramatic. It's serious up until that moment. Then that moment is like, there's the punchline. It totally breaks the serious part. A lot of stuff in here. We got somebody who did AR, David Hubbard, who did some AI cartoons of King Kong and Godzilla.
Yeah, there's a page here with some one-panel comics. Joseph Morris has one down in the corner.
Yeah, John Lambert has a bunch of stuff here. There's a lot of
Cal
things.
Crum has one in the top. There's a Cal Crum.
Here's Dan Gardner again. Some guys going through the jungle.
Yeah.
And something happens to them. Well, they don't realize. They thought they were climbing the side of a mountain, but they're actually climbing the top of King Kong's head. And so
that's from 1990.
Yeah, is it?
Yeah,
that's a reprint.
1990.
Yeah, some of this stuff is reprinted. Some of it is newer. Another stuff by Louisa Felix in here, and she passed away 10 or 15 years ago.
There's a Brad Foster here, King Kong.
Is that Brad Foster page now?
Yeah. King Kong's less famous relatives.
Carol King Kong, Stephen King Kong, and Billy
These
Jean
are less known relatives. Stephen King Kong and Carol King Kong.
Yeah.
Billy Jean King Kong is down at the bottom.
Billy Jean. Yeah. She says, you're going down, Riggs. If you know the story about Billy Jeans and Bobby Riggs, the famous male versus female, female versus male tennis match, you'll get the joke. If not, you'll just laugh anyway because it's still funny.
There's one by Ken Leach himself, page here.
Oh, yeah.
The Nicotine Fit.
Yeah. Which is funny because I think I'm overpaid.
He said he knows this has nothing to do with King Kong. He just needed to fill something in.
Yeah, I had to fill that space. So, yeah, these are Louisa Felix pages.
Thomas Sager.
Only the title says Gorilla My Dreams. That's the only connection to King Kong there. But this is filed, like I said, that's Louisa Felix. I believe Larry Blake inked those. But as I say, she passed away quite a long time ago. But she was a friend of us all, a friend of Larry Blake's, and Larry follows that up by I guess his last cartooning, some of the last stuff he did before he passed away.
Yeah, this is. Let me get to it. There was some other stuff in here ahead of that, but
why did King Kong? What is that? Why did he climb the buildings? So he could put a hammock in between. I think that's based on the remake, the one where he climbed the World Trade Center instead of. I hope my voice isn't being covered up here. I'm worried about that because I'm taking some chances with the microphone here. But anyway, there's Larry Blake art.
Yeah.
The Lone Ranger and Ponto looking for clues, and they're standing inside a giant King Kong footprint. Has to be something here, Kimosabi. I don't know.
And of course, it wouldn't be Larry Blake if he didn't show a little rock and roll here in the last panel here.
Got to be a little rock and roll from there. Yep.
Yeah.
Because every girl's crazy about a sharp dressed man, and you got King Kong rocking and rolling right there. Yeah. All right. This is a fantastic issue. It's only $7.
This has got so much stuff in it. We didn't show you half of it. But,
yeah.
You know, it's just got all kinds of stuff.
It's gorgeous.
It's really good.
Beautifully printed.
And the back cover is by Alan
Freeman.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, he's going to have some work in my upcoming mantra. I'm working on.
I don't know if he had but he did do the back cover, which is a full painting.
He had a couple other things in here. I saw them.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff in here. It's all terrific.
Yeah, this is a great issue.
Who did this?
I'll have all the information in the description below, and you should get yourself a copy.
There's a guy named Rob Marsh who pops up here and there. And he has some very realistic looking scenes of King Kong with Fay Ray, and he's climbing the Empire State Building, and that almost looks like a still from one of the movies. And they decide instead of sending the biplanes, they send like a giant milkshake over there. And the same result, when he reaches for the milkshake, he takes that great fall, you know.
Anyway, what a great.
I can save us some manpower. Next time, a giant gorilla.
Look at this. Ken Leach sent this with the copy.
Yes, he did.
All kinds of information here.
Yeah.
Look at that. Isn't that cool?
I got it.
I would like to do something like that when I send out comics. I like that.
Yeah.
So he's a lot of news there, what's coming up, things like that.
Alienthology. That's the next issue.
Yeah.
It deals with aliens.
But it'll be, about aliens, of course. I'm going to try to do something for that. I don't know when the deadline is. It doesn't say, but
I asked Ken. I said, just remind me. And he said, I will. Yes. So he's after me. So I'm gonna have to do something. Okay. All right.
Yeah, that's some great comics there.
Yeah, we got it, folks. Don't. I'm sorry. I got these allergies. Don't be afraid to send us your comics. We need more comics. Please. Because we're not getting as much as we'd like to. I mean, if you want to
we'd like to get a few more. Unfortunately, we have to do it where you send Steve one and me one. Not much we can do about that unless Steve moves next door to me. Yeah.
Send both of us a copy of your comics. If you want them sent back to you, just let us know, and we'll send them back. But we want to review your work. Also, we'll be doing interviews. I was thinking along those lines. We talked about Rick Bradford.
Yeah, boy, that would
be. Wonder if Rick Bradford would be interested in being.
That would be a good one. I'd like to do that. Yeah.
I was just thinking. Wonder if Rick Bradford will make it this far to the end of the video. To see me just.
Or even watch it.
Even Larned didn't know I was going to throw that out there. Yeah.
Yeah, boy, that'd be good. That would be a great.
That would make for an interesting video. And historically,
you think he might know a little something about small press comics?
Seeing how he's been around probably as long as I have, I would imagine he knows a little bit. And seeing how he's got a comprehensive database of every small press comic ever published, I would suspect that Rick has a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah, I would.
I wonder if he's camera shy.
I think so. Yeah. So we'll contact him.
That out there, Rick. So maybe we'll see what happens. And you guys send us your comics and we'll review them. And again, if it's a problem, if you're worried about losing money, we'll send them back to you. Or reimburse you the cost, whatever. I have no problem with that. We want people who haven't sent us anything before. It would be nice if
we'd like to expand.
We don't want to review the same people's zines every time.
Different things. We'd love to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. We don't come on here and trash your comics. We're all about supporting small press. We're not going to go on here. Oh man, this drawing looks terrible. Show it to the baby; it'll scare the heck out of her. It's not going to. We're all about supporting and encouraging people to do small press.
Right.
I can tell you that doing comics for 50-some years and publishing zines and all is really, I mean, my life would have gone a totally different direction if I hadn't.
Mm-hmm.
I'd have been better. I might have been a baseball player. I don't know, or a movie star, But it was, but totally this defines you. Once you're into it, once you fall prey to the small press bug, that's it. You're addicted, and it never ends. Even people who've disappeared for 20 or 30 years, they come back. I see it time and time again.
I did want to mention one more thing about us looking at showing your comics. We do get about average 130 views, so that's 130 chances that you might be able to sell a comic book. We
might have got more on that last video. I think we might have got.
I'm just saying that's average. We do get more than 130, but the average. For a video is around 130, and we think that's pretty good because this is a kind of a niche, amateur comic books, small press comic books, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. But then you get people like John Muller who does pro level artwork. You never know. Yeah. So yeah. Anyway,
There's
You
so much
have
great
anything?
stuff out there. I mean, just look. I mean, there's so much great stuff out there.
Yeah.
And these are the ones that just happen to have color covers, so I grabbed
Yeah.
them. So these covers are in color, but they might not be in color, but it's still a lot of fun.
Yeah.
The thing about John Muller, this cover is very minimalistic. It's just a title and a UFO symbol. But once you open it, it's a great comic.
Boom.
Great comic. It's a letter that he sent me over here. Yeah. But so there's a lot of
there's
talent out
some
there.
really talented people out there, really.
Yeah.
And we're looking for more talented people to show off. So
Yeah. So.
if you do comics, think about sending us a copy each. We'll promote it.
All right, you bet.
Okay, we're gonna wrap this up. Maybe we usually go about an hour, and I think that's about what we did here. So
Yep. About 55 minutes. Okay.
yeah, so we can say goodbye for now, and
A little while.
we'll be back either with an interview or with some more comics. So make sure you subscribe and hit that bell notification button so that you will know when our next show is up. So, all right, we will see you next time.
Live long and prosper, or something like that.
Hi, and welcome to Talking Small Press Comics, episode number 78, with Steve Keeter and me, Larned Justin. And today, our special guest, Dale Martin.
Hello.
Hey, Dale, glad you could join us.
Thanks for having me.
Hi, Dale.
This should be fun.
You say that now.
Didn't you you've got questions, Steve? I think he sent you a copy of some of the...
Yeah, I got a little heads up.
Yeah,
I printed it. I got a rough draft of a bunch of questions, but it might not go in this direction.
We'll play it by ear.
See what happens.
And
it's just an idea because you don't want to start with nothing, but we're not starting with nothing. We're starting with Dale Martin, and this guy is amazing and has made a huge impact on the small press community.
You're too kind.
Decades, since I believe 1985, I think.
Yeah,
that's what I was going to ask. When did you actually get into small press?
I started in like junior high-ish. I was a teenager, and I was just drawing little comics on paper, and a friend of mine started doing that too, and then we worked on some things together, and then it kind of snowed. I stuck with it. I guess I found something I liked, and I kept with it. And then when Tim Corrigan's SPCE came out,
here we go again.
Yeah, that's what connected me to like
everybody.
More
yeah.
That's a recurring theme in all of our videos. Tim
kind of is.
That one and Fact Sheet 5 was the other magazine that
Mike Gundel is.
Yeah. I picked up some of those too. There was a lot of non-comic stuff in there to wade through. But yeah, I missed both of those because it was kind of there wasn't a lot going on, so that was like a central meeting point for a lot of stuff. And now the internet's kind of scattered everybody.
Yeah, that were the days before the computers,
Yeah, with Xerox, I learned with the Xerox copier and But
I was there before the computers.
Me too. Yeah,
I was there.
Yeah,
we got our first computer like when I was married. We got our like the year 2000. Something 1999 maybe, but before that, But Dale came along in like 1985. But I heard about Dale before then because Watusi was already around, and Dale was doing a lot of work for other people. And but I saw this. I went to Rick Bradford's poop sheet site.
Yeah,
because he's got a lot of information. You can just put it. You can put in your name, and you can find all this stuff. And I found this, and I tried to print it out. But there's something called Arm and Hammer, so it's in two pieces because I tried to print it out. But you did something called Arm and Hammer back in 1985.
Yeah, it was a superhero parody thing, kind of a cross between Thor and Arm and Hammer. It had little cartoon video commercials with a with a walking box of baking soda. And so that's kind of where I started that. And that was a superhero parody I did for most of the 80s.
Really? Oh, that's
And
before my time.
yeah, that was the first thing I did that people knew me from when I was advertising in SPCE and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I kind of moved away from that.
Yeah. When did you start Watusi, actually?
I have to look, probably 99, 2000.
Oh, okay.
Range.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Seems like Watusi's been around forever. You know, it's a name.
Well, you know, as I've been kind of working through the jam comics with my own finishes, I realized a lot of those are 20 years old. So I've been doing that character for almost 25 years now, which is weird to think about, but
that is
time
weird.
flies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. And then,
I mean, Larned, you were one of the early people who saw that.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
You were one of the first people who saw Watusi in April 5.
For anybody that doesn't know, Dale would draw 4 panels of a cartoon, Watusi the talking dog, and he would leave the last panel blank, and then he would send it to whoever wanted to fill out the last panel, and that was a jam comic.
It was a little different, actually. I drew the first panel and hoped people would draw 2 and 3, and then I would finish it up.
Oh,
that's
okay.
Right. Yeah, I found that since I wrote this down, my memory was faulty on that. But yeah, I was looking over some of the older jams, and I could see you did the first and the last panel. You know, I put that down wrong on our notes.
Okay, that's right.
Yeah, it was fun. You know, especially when I had connection with all those other 8x5 cartoonists, there were people willing to play. So that was nice.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's great. Where were you living before you went to Memphis?
I lived in Lawrence, Kansas for a long time.
Kansas. That's right.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of that and I couldn't think of it. And
it was near Kansas City. So
yeah,
I did a little bit with Kansas City cartoonists. But they were not, their activity kind of came and went in spurts.
I was trying to remember when you and I went to space together, did you drive to St. Louis?
No, we met up there.
That?
I flew in.
Met up there?
Yeah, because that was too long of a drive for me to do.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So what'd you do, fly?
I flew in, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, which is why I'm only able to do it a couple of years.
Yeah.
Because you know, flying ain't cheap, and it's hard to bring a lot of stuff.
Yeah, that is hard to do. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I wouldn't even attempt that. Yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
But it is a long drive. Even from St. Louis, it's a long drive.
Oh yeah. And from here it'd be a long drive. It wouldn't be like a day trip even. So it's not really been on my radar just because of travel.
Yeah.
Logistics.
There must be shows near you though, right?
My work in Comic Cons don't really jive too well because Comic Cons have become more sort of fanfares and people want to get the thing they already know about. Yeah. They don't want to try something new.
Yeah.
But I've had better luck at like book fairs, and they just had a zine fest last week here in Memphis. Mm-hmm. And that was great. There were a lot of people interested in what I was doing and asked questions about it. So it's a different audience, but it seems to connect better with what I do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I remember Memphis. I lived in Memphis between the ages of about 5 and 9 years old.
Oh.
So I remember Memphis, and I used to. I guess you can't do that anymore. But little kids like me, we would walk around just everywhere, and I found stores that sold comics, and I don't know that the Memphis of today is the Memphis that I was a child in.
You wouldn't want to necessarily walk around a lot of these streets, really.
Oh, really? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Well, like every big city.
It's like everywhere. Every big city has the same problem. Yeah.
And traffic is terrible, and honestly, Memphians don't want to drive. So yeah, you got to watch yourself.
Great.
Well, they still have Beale Street there. I know. When I was a kid, I went to Graceland. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Beale Street's probably had a revival since you were there as a tyke because I think in the late 80s, they sort of gentrified it and made it a tourist area. And, you know, it's still a thing. It's still a big tourist draw between it and Graceland. Yeah.
I still like to go. I like to go for nostalgic reasons and for other reasons, you know, 'cause I'm a big blues fan. This, by the way, this is a page that Larned was involved with.
It's like some Larned art, yeah.
Larned's in here somewhere.
Oh my gosh, I'll be darned.
Little panels, but this is a Watusi jam. I just have to pull this up.
Yeah, Larned was early on when, you know, he was a regular contributor. And then after a while, you know, people stopped doing a lot of things through the mail, and it kind of jam thing kind of dropped off a little. And then I started the webcomic and did more of my own thing. So it's kind of changed. I still like to do the jams, but it's harder to get it to come together.
I would think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the group you belong to, the MC, what is it?
MSCA.
MSCA.
Yeah.
Now Cartoonist Association.
Yeah. That really looks nice. Really.
Yeah, they're a good group. You know, Kevin Williams is the president, and he's done a great job of kind of keeping the group revitalized. And after we met on Zoom during the pandemic, and after that, we got a lot of new people somehow found out about us, and they come to meetings more, and they participated in the art shows and the zine. And it's
where do you meet? Where do you have your meetings?
We meet at a local pizza place.
Oh, okay.
Once a month, which is kind of just a social hour, and then we do a couple of other things that are more drawing based, like we meet at a local comic store maybe quarterly, and it's just a day to draw, and you know it's
that's fun.
10 to 2, and it is interesting because a lot of people, you know, you can still chat, but a lot of people can get work done. One guy, Eric McMeans, he's been just brush inking, just practicing his brush inking. He would print out someone else's pencils and he would just ink. Which is nice to see, because I don't give myself that sort of time to just practice. So yeah, there are a few more drawing based things, and when we do some gallery shows of, like, you know, paintings.
That's
and other
great
things. So,
I do have a group here in St. Louis I meet with. It's every third Monday of the month.
Oh yeah.
And it's called Ink and Drink, and they meet at a mini brewery.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, and they're pretty. You know, it's fun.
Yeah, it is nice to
maybe not quite as active as your bunch, but they do quite a bit.
Well, you know, just connecting in real life with other artists is nice.
Right.
And you know, just seeing what tools people draw with is interesting. There's another group I started going to meeting with here. It's called Urban Sketchers, and they meet one Saturday a month at a different place, and you just go out and draw in real life. And that's interesting too, because a lot of people have totally different mediums. There's some abstract artists, and it's nice to kind of, you know, get out of the cartooning zone a little. Yeah.
Huh. Well, some of the people involved in the MSCA, this MSC, this wasn't around when I was in Memphis. It was a long time ago.
It started in 1987.
You got some great artists. What's this guy's name? James Negrin?
That's Jason Negan. Yeah, he
okay.
And I really enjoy that story. It's very superhero based, but his writing is really his art is good, but his writing is really solid. And you know, he ends on nice cliffhangers. It's been a great little continued strip we've had in those issues.
That's in The Good, the Bad, and the Sketchy, which is the signature zine of this particular group. How often is this published?
Sporadically, we would say. We started it right before the pandemic. We had our stapling party for number 2 right before everything locked down. And we took a little break after a while. There's just some burnout that goes on. And we came back about a year ago, and new people were interested in doing it. So we're probably going to be taking a break here and again in a bit, just to give some breathing room. But
Yeah.
it's a nice. I think it's a nice project to get people doing a thing, and a lot of these people, that's been their first time being published. So
That's great.
these are people that are outside the mainstream of small press for some part, and but I see you've got there's something by you in a previous issue, The Heart of a Monkey.
Yeah, I like to try a little different thing with it, since I already have my own thing, and that one was just a folktale adaptation. So it's a chance to just try a little something that will just be a few pages long. So it make it work for me too.
It's different. It's quite different from Watusi. If Watusi is your signature character, what you're mostly known for, which is interesting because you said you have a 15-year history before Watusi ever came along.
I've done a lot of stuff. That's been that scratched a lot of itches, especially with the webcomic. It let me tell a continued story. That character served me well over the years.
Yeah. When I think of Dale Martin, we generally think Watusi. That's what's been out there. That's what really struck a nerve. Somewhere along the line, that character is just. Would you say that character reflects your own personality, or it's just?
He's probably a little.
If you were a dog.
He's probably a little more friendly and helpful than I am, but otherwise, pretty close.
Anything exciting you got coming up in the future, or anything different, and something?
Well, I've done a few. I did one Memphis history comic, and I've kind of toyed with doing a couple of other ones. But the pagination hasn't really worked out well. But I think I have an angle on, and I try to finish a couple of those next year. So that's something a little different. And then at the Zine Fest, I always try to do an artier thing. And this year it wasn't finished. So I did an ash can of a Egyptian mythology comic, because there's sort of an Egyptian Memphis connection. And so I did that. And I did an ash can to get some reader feedback on different trim sizes and that kind of thing. So it was useful. I always try to do something a little artier for that thing, because the audience there has come to appreciate a little fancier handmade book.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Neat.
Yeah. So something good.
Sure. Yeah.
I thought I saw some other stuff. You mentioned Egyptian. I know there's a story, and it's somewhere in my pile of stuff over here, but there's a story about this mummy, and there's a Watusi encounters this mummy, and by the end of the story, the mummy, all the bandages are off, and the mummy's embarrassed, standing there, totally naked.
Yeah, he was trying to get Watusi. He was bargaining with Watusi for some reason, and Watusi just cleaned him out.
Watusi wanted everything he had, and so he did. He got everything he had, and then the guy's got his hands between his legs, and he's like, and it's a mummy. And I'll tell you what, I never saw that. I never saw that in a Universal Monster movie or anything else.
No, probably wouldn't have. Yeah.
That was a good story.
Besides cartooning, are you working, or are you retired, or anything?
Since we moved here, I've been full-time art making, which is a misnomer, because it seems like you spend a lot of time on the business side. And for me, since I do a lot of prints and note cards, there's a fair amount of production involved with trimming and packaging and all that.
Well, I know you do that kind of a newsletter that you send out through email.
Yeah.
That looks like a lot of work to me. I mean, it really does.
Well, it's a nice, it is, considering how it doesn't always seem to pay off, but it's a good habit for me to be in, just to kind of let people know I'm doing things, especially with shows that I have coming up, because when I do art fairs and those kind of things, it's sort of a different market. But with the print sales, that's helped pay for my comic printing.
Really?
Yeah, Memphians love pictures of Memphis, so I've drawn a lot of Memphis scenes,
And
yeah,
they'll buy those, right? Oh,
yeah.
that's
So
great.
yeah, it's nice to see when I do those kind of shows to see people reacting to my work in real time. Because when when I send stuff through the mail or post it online, I don't get that sort of reaction.
Well, yeah.
And people are happy to tell stories. And there was a story that someone told me. I didn't get his name, so I feel bad about that now. That told me that planted the seed for a story that I think I'll try to do next year too. So that was it's not. It is. Sometimes I get really good ideas and get feedback, and the Memphis mythology thing really kind of started because somebody was asking if I had any Egyptian stuff, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it got me thinking about their mythology, and it's very different than like Greek mythology because it's so ancient that these gods don't really have personalities. It's like everybody forgot their nature. They just had the role they played. So it's interesting, but it's interesting to delve into it a little.
Yeah. That's neat. Really.
So something a little different than what you see.
My biggest problem is coming up with a story or something, I'm famous for, I get a half an idea and I start drawing, hoping that something will come to me.
That's all it takes is get you going. Yeah.
I always keep a notepad by me. If I have an idea, I write it down. It's been a while since I've done any actual comics, actually written and drawn it. It's been a couple of years. I need to get to work. I've got a new comic coming out soon, Mantra. But as far as doing these shows, and I do the UFO. I'm chairman of the UFO, and so I'm doing this stuff. So I'm pretty busy with a lot of other stuff, and I'm trying to find a way to get more time to just work on my stuff. But you guys are an inspiration, and but as far as you were saying, you are, because you're always putting out stuff. Larned is a creative dynamo. He's always got new ideas, and every time I look, there's something else from Dale. And I even got a Christmas card. This must a year or two ago. I got a Christmas card. I was going to
say I got that too.
Yeah,
that one from Dale.
This is a great Christmas card.
Well, I always try to do since I was a kid. Well, since I moved out on my own. I've always done a Christmas card of some sort.
That was really nice. That's really cool.
I've done those too, but kind of reminds me that Memphis snows in Memphis.
Christmas card, but it's at that time of year.
We've had some snows lately, which is disappointing to me because I moved south hoping to get away from that.
That's what they told me when I moved to St. Louis. Oh, it might snow for a day, and then it's gone the next day. Well, the first year we were here, we got about 10 inches of snow. Didn't go anywhere, stayed.
The first year we were here, we got a dusting, and they shut the city down. It's like, okay, this is great. But since then, we've had like snows on top of snows where they didn't melt in between. We've had like last winter, there was below freezing for like 10 days into the single digits. It was crazy. So See,
Steve can't relate to that. He's in
Florida now.
You got it made till the hurricanes sweep you away.
Yes, hurricanes. But other than that.
But the most significant, I only had 2 white Christmases, but only one that really counts. And that was in Memphis, Tennessee, when I was like 6 years old. Mm-hmm. And it was a big snow. I mean, I built snowmen, we did the whole bit. And it was great. And it was really cold. We were kids, I was 6 years old. So I put on a big jacket and had ultimate energy and just ran out and building snowmen and, snow castles and all kinds of stuff. We were, but, I don't think I could stand that kind of cold.
Not now. And I'd have to
live in Florida for all these years, but
that would be hard.
A great memory. It's a great memory. Yeah, I loved Memphis when I was there. Memphis is a great place, but I wasn't involved in a cartoonist community at that time.
Well, not when you were 6 years old.
Yeah,
I was already drawing comics though. I was drawing
At
comics
6?
on notebook paper and
you were ahead of your time.
very crude
Yeah.
stuff. Someone in Memphis, one of my aunts might have some of that stuff, that I did.
That's kind of funny
very
because
primitive stuff.
I've always drawn stuff, but to me, when I would think about drawing a comic, I would think, well, I got as much chance of publishing a comic book as being a professional baseball player.
Yeah.
Like, no chance.
Yeah.
So I never thought you could even do anything like that until sometime in the late 90s when I discovered small press. And I was already an old fart by that time.
Yeah, I was lucky. I had access to photocopiers. My dad copied some of my early comics at work. But that made a huge difference to, like, rather than just drawing one thing, to be able to like make a multiple and share it was kind of eye-opening.
That was for me. When I found out people were doing that all over the world, I was amazed, and I just had to jump in and try and do the same thing.
Well, good. I'm glad you did.
Yeah, me too.
Because you were a painter before that, right?
Oh yeah, I paint watercolor, acrylics, that kind of stuff, and oils. I did a lot of oils, but I haven't done much of that lately. And I don't know
painting to be hard because
I think it's because drawing a comic book. I just finished a 32-page full-color comic book, which took me 4 or 5 months to finish. And, when you devote that much time to comics, you don't have much time to do paintings and all that. So,
for me, it's like when I'm doing a comic, I can make corrections, but when I'm doing a painting, it's harder to make those sort of corrections.
Yeah.
Because the paintings I do are more, I do a flat color thing, and then I draw line work on it with the.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So it's very similar to a cartoon in that way. But it kind of doesn't leave me a lot of room to miss a step or make corrections if I need to. So.
Yeah. Pretty much once you put the paint on there, you kind of have done it,
Yeah, because my base color layer is pretty spontaneous. Because I didn't overwork things. And so that also makes it hard to make corrections.
What medium are you using? Are you doing it on paper or canvas?
I'm doing it on I take a masonite board and I gesso it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because I don't like the give of a canvas, especially when I'm drawing on it. So having a harder surface suits me well.
For doing that kind of thing, I agree. Yeah, if you're doing a canvas will bounce a little bit when you're pushing on it,
Yeah, and I've always felt my brush work is I'm not really pleased with it. And I probably don't spend enough time playing with it. But honestly, that's not my thing. Like I told somebody at the Zine Fest when they said, "Oh, you've been doing this a while, haven't you?" I said, "Yeah, I found my thing early on. I don't mess around with painting. I don't mess around with animation. I do comics." So that's my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
So can we see your painting? The Smeary Soapbox website. Are your paintings on there? Or?
There are. There's a page called Art and Illustration that has some paintings on there.
You don't happen to have a painting near you, do you?
Well, let's see.
That's quite a comprehensive website.
Yeah, I'd have to kind of point up that that Silver Surfer painting next to that's one of my paintings.
Okay.
Zoom in on that, everybody. Zoom in on that.
Yeah, zoom in on that. I was trying to do at that point, they're like 12 by 12 panels, so that it's sort of actual size, so that of the head of the human thing, so that you can relate to it better.
Oh, really? Oh, neat. Yeah.
So a lot of them were just portraits, and it didn't feel, or it feel like studies to me. I don't really feel like I have a great mature body. Like, I don't know what I'm saying with my paintings, the way other people have like a thing they're doing. So it also doesn't really, they're just pictures. They don't really, if I'm going to tell a story or get a point across, comics just serve me better because I can use words.
You can tell a story with comics.
Yeah.
Painting, you're limited to the one picture, you know. Yeah.
Yeah. So
my paintings were usually landscapes and things like that.
Yeah,
I did all my oils with the palette knife.
My paintings don't exist because I never did.
Nice.
Because early on I found out that I was colorblind, so I had a problem getting the colors right, you know. So I gave it up early on. I just did comics over the years.
Pink trees, yeah.
I'm envious of you guys.
Oh well, talking about landscapes, I have been watching the Bob Ross show, which I never watched back in the day, and I've learned more about brush work from him than I ever did in classes. They never really taught that sort of level of here's what this mark can do. And I love seeing people who do palette knife paintings. I think those are really interesting.
I never did use a brush. Plus, there's no cleanup. You take a piece of toilet paper or something and you wipe it off. One swipe, you're done.
They should have told me that in school.
Yeah. But haven't done it in a long time.
I was looking through Rick Bradford. Okay, the Poop Sheet. Poop Sheet is the website. And it used to be a magazine, and now it's a website, Rick Bradford's Poop Sheet. And I just typed in Dale Martin, and there was a huge amount of information. And so I just printed a bunch of it out, you know.
I need to send Rick more stuff, actually.
This is a cover in black and white, Watusi #1. I don't think that's the original. There was another Watusi #1, wasn't there?
No, that was it.
Oh, this is it?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So was it always a digest size comic?
Yeah, I mean, I like that format. Most of my things have been digests. I do a few mini comics because I also like the fact of an 8-page mini comic is one sheet of paper. Like, what can I do with that? So I do that, but generally digests. I think that gives me a nice page size, and it's easy to reproduce.
Yeah, definitely. I've done. I never did a mini comic. I did digest.
You have a particular printer you go to, or
I've been using. I don't know. Is this a product placement window for? I've been using a place called Best Value Copy because they can let me do bleeds on those covers, which I never found. I never knew anybody else who let me do that, and I really like that finish that it adds to have full bleeds on my covers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and we started using it for this MSCA book too, and I just think they make that makes a really sharp looking product.
Yeah, it does.
Sharp look for sure.
Yeah,
I got a few of those here: the good, the bad, and the sketchy.
Yeah. I've been happy with what they do, especially double-sided printing is really expensive, so they have a nice price.
You guys take turns doing the cover or something, or?
Yeah, we kind of spread it around. We haven't had anybody duplicate yet. We're running out. We've kind of run through all our regulars, so we'll see what happens next couple of issues.
Yeah.
It's nice to give people a spotlight.
Really? For sure.
A chance, and sometimes I just think you're a good fit for this, and so I'll ask people to would you do this? Would you be interested in doing this one? So,
yeah.
That's and I got this from Tom Pelrath, Strange Times #5. You didn't do the cover.
Some sharp production, doesn't he?
Oh yeah. Tom Pelrath he just vanished from small press 30 years ago, 30 years ago, somewhere in there, 25 years ago, and he came back. And
he came back.
Because I invited him back, but there's a Watusi story in here. It's a really good one. It's a real funny one where Watusi is a stand-up comedian and he's making.
That was fun to do. That theme was I connected with that theme of what Tom.
People keep booing him throughout.
Yep.
Yeah, but he's pretty steadfast.
Yeah.
Got a little flop sweat, but that's about it.
Yeah.
The cover I did for Tom.
Yeah, that was a different look for you.
Yeah.
Too. I remember.
Yeah.
Pencil sketches
That's a
once
great
in a
cover.
while like this, and he used it for that, and he actually won a little award for the cover.
Yeah.
I've been to Larned's house, and that picture is on the wall, I think in your kitchen, right? In the dining room?
No, it's in my studio.
I knew it was somewhere, but it's on the wall.
Yeah.
So was that a drawing you had already done, or was that something you did just for that book?
I just drew it because I wanted to, and then I sent Tom, he wanted some submissions, so I sent him some other sketches. That was one of the sketches, and he used it for a cover.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really,
I didn't know he was going to do that, but he did.
Oh.
Yeah.
Here's a Watusi number 9. Looks like the top of it's chopped off, but again, this is reprinted from a Rick Bradford site.
Yeah, that was at the time I started doing. When I wanted to add color to my covers, I was hand stenciling the cover art for those.
Wow.
Let me.
You know what's?
Hold on.
Oh, okay.
50 million Watusi fans can't be wrong. Excuse me, folks. My allergies are driving me nuts.
It was a Graceland connection before I ever moved here, because that was a famous Elvis cover.
Thing going on here. We're back.
But yeah, I did this. I don't know if you can see it, but it's stenciled with a gold paint.
Oh, gold. Yeah.
So
wow.
That was one of those early stenciled covers. So it was, when I did some free comic book day things, and it was just all black and white covers, like, well, that doesn't jump out. So that's why I started stenciling covers, and I did that up until I started paying for color.
Now, when you say stenciling, what exactly? What do you have to do?
I had like a plastic material, cut out stencil, and then I rolled paint, the same kind of roller paint I use when I'm doing canvases, and just rolled paint over. Where are we here? Rolled paint over this cover. And the stencil blocked everything I wanted to not be yellow. And so yeah, it was, I wouldn't say it was laborious. I like 2-color art a lot.
Yeah, it looks great.
And yeah, I was pleased with that. And then I did let me grab another one here that I was pleased with. Let me do 2-color, 2 different blues.
Yeah. Wow.
And I was really fortunate, and it was just dumb luck that I designed that logo in a way that it could be one continuous shape. So I could totally just cut out the areas and roll a single swipe to get the Watusi logo.
Wow.
So, yeah. So that was my first stab at color.
Instantly recognizable, that Watusi logo.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know right away from that.
Yeah.
Now, do you do anything digital at all?
I would like to learn to draw digitally, but I don't know how. I feel like I zoom in too far, and I'm trying to do things pixel by pixel, which isn't the way to do it.
Yeah.
I've got a tablet set up with Clip Studio Pro, but I haven't really used it enough.
I've got Procreate, and I can't get used to it. I can't get used to drawing with that the pencil, the pressure.
It's a different thing, because when I was in school, computers were pretty much used for typesetting. Like I never learned Illustrator or any of that stuff.
Yeah, no, I never did
either.
It
was easier to, it was just easier to draw things, even like rules and all that, than to fuss with doing it on the computer.
Yeah.
So at the time, and that changed dramatically just a couple of years later.
Yeah.
So I've kind of had to teach myself to color digitally. And that took, like, my first stabs were not great because I didn't know the difference between screen color and printed color. And it's like, why does that not look right? And it took me a while to get a handle on that. But now I feel pretty confident. Pretty confident.
You did this?
What I'm doing. Yeah.
You did this with a computer?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Computer coloring? That's
what
wonderful.
program?
Great. Looks just like it too. That guy right
I
there.
just do it on Photoshop. That one has a little bit of. It's a mix of handwork and digital work, because like some of the accents in the tree, in the leaves back there, I drew that as a marker, and then I scanned that in and just overlaid it with digital coloring. So
that's the thing. I never learned Photoshop.
I've kind of learned by doing.
That's the only way you could do it, I guess, really.
Yeah, and there are a lot more helpful online tutorials.
Yeah.
Like if I have a question, like I was trying to do neon for a print, and I found some help just online, and it's like, okay, I'll copy those steps. I'm like, oh, it works. Yeah. So yeah, it's. And once I learned those things, I've kind of it's helped me a bit.
And what do you think about AI assisted cartooning?
As a cartoonist, I don't want a computer doing my job, and I don't really think a lot of things. It's going to narrow your imagination in a way too, if you rely on these prompts too much.
Yeah,
it's not something I'm interested in really pursuing, because I don't need, like, I'm not doing advertising jobs where I need to get like a dozen comps to show a client, which would be too many anyway. But if you want to do that, but then you're kind of, I don't know, it seems like it's going down
I feel like you're kind of cheating a little bit,
Yeah.
And I've used it maybe twice, and I've kind of made the decision myself. I'm not going to go with AI. I'll draw whatever I want.
It's more than cheating. It's not you. It's not. It doesn't come from your heart. It doesn't come from your soul. You're telling the computer what to do, and it does it in somebody else's style or in its own style. That's wherever it came from. But it's not a real cartoonist does their own artwork. They do their they do their own work. You're pouring out your heart and soul in everything you do.
And I don't understand someone like. I want to be a comic artist, but I can't draw, and I'm not going to bother learning how to draw. I'm going to
do AI.
It's like that's a weird decision to make. Yeah, because where do you get, how will you get better? How will you? Yeah, it's just weird.
Drawing cartoons, as we all know, is practice. It's practice.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I could draw.
The more you draw, you get better a little bit at a time. You can't do that with AI.
Yeah.
You can type a description better. That's all you can do.
Yeah. Well, because I was inking a page the other day, and I was like, oh, I don't often enjoy inking, but I had an opportunity to pencil better, and it's like, oh, this is fun. I'm just inking, and it goes and get in that groove of actually drawing. Yeah, is really nice. And to give that up, even if you're drawing on a tablet, that can be pleasant too, because you can make progress faster.
Yeah, look at Alan Freeman's tablet work sometime.
Well, somebody like Keith Newsom does great work.
Newsom also
brilliant work.
Freeman
draws it.
I can't even imagine how he does it.
Yeah, my work is
any of his pen and ink digital drawings are unbelievable.
Yeah, my work is pretty simple. I looked at other people. It's like I kind of gravitated to a more strict black and white look, compared to people who put a lot of hatching and a lot of detail into their things. It's not the way I draw generally.
Yeah. Well, I think I think when you come up with a character like Watusi, it's fairly easy to draw. You don't have, and you can put them in all kinds of situations. If you create a character that's way too complicated, you wear yourself out trying to draw panel after panel with that character in it. So I like that simple.
Yeah, when I've tried to change up how just in my sketchbook, how could I make Watusi a little more interesting to draw? It doesn't look right. It's just
it
is what it is.
Too late now. You've got a Watusi established.
Yeah, I was trying to do a little retool after I'd finished that Oz webcomic, I was like, I needed a break, and it's a break that's lasted too long. But one of the things I wanted to do was kind of get a better handle on drawing my characters consistently. And so I was looking at how to, you know, I was doing a little reevaluation of how it was drawing these characters. And I didn't make many dramatic changes, but it was an interesting exercise to kind of like look at it. How can I make this a little easier for me to work with and look more consistent? Because sometimes those digest pages are just too small. Like I want to get more information in there, like convey a sense of environment.
Yes,
and it's hard to do, especially to letter at a size I like to letter at. And I'm a pretty wordy writer, so I don't leave a lot of room for the drawing sometimes.
Interesting that you said that, because I have something that you did a couple of years ago. It's Ramble.
Oh, yeah.
Oktoberfest. And this is an entirely wordless comic that you did.
Yeah.
And I've always said the mark of a really good cartoonist, a really good storyteller, is that they can tell the story with the images only and no dialogue. And you pull that off in this.
Well, thank you. Yeah, that was fun to do. I tried Inktober before, and I felt like doing homework. But this one was a little nicer because I kind of set the parameters. Like, I'm going to tell a story using these theme words, and it kind of worked. Yeah.
One page every day for a month, and you came up with this great story. It's pretty wild. This alien being who like eats little frog guys, but anyway. But it's totally entirely, and then the artwork is great. So it forces you, because there's no words, it forces you to concentrate on the artwork, to pay attention.
And since a lot of those were just single images, but that's why I went that smaller trim size, because it's like, okay, it's just going to be this picture. I could put a little more detail into it, like on the treasure chest there, that I wouldn't normally do. If I've got a lot of words going on in that panel too, that would have taken a lot of real estate away from that.
Interesting. So I mean, but that definitely shows that you know how to tell a story.
Well, thank you. I like to think I've learned a thing or two after all these years.
Well, yeah, that's nice.
All that practice adds up to something, right?
Better show up.
Larry Blake, the late great Larry Blake, he never used a computer ever. He just said,
a lot of detail.
You want to be a good artist? He said, practice. Just keep drawing, and that's what he did. He kept drawing and drawing and drawing. And so there you go. You don't need computers. You don't even need words, but you can tell a good story if you want to. If you're a creative person and you have an idea, you can put it down on pen and ink, and
that's one of the things I've met over the years. A couple of artists, well, more than a couple of artists, a few who just they like to draw, but they don't have any ideas of what they want to draw. And I don't get that. It's like, how can you not know what you want to draw? And oftentimes
the difference between knowing what you want to draw and coming up with a good story. I mean,
but even knowing, I like to draw monsters, or I like to draw spaceships.
And then you got to come up with a story so you can draw some monsters.
Yeah, but I mean, if they say, I like to draw spaceships, then you can let me help you. Here's a germ of an idea that you can work from and help them develop a thing. And
I've done a number of things for other people where they tell me the story, they tell me what they want in each panel, and also the script, and I can knock those out pretty darn quick. If I don't have to stop and think of the story, I can get those done fairly fast. And I like doing that.
Oh, cool. Yeah. I haven't worked with writers too often. Because until I really moved here, there weren't many other cartoonists I knew. A lot of them were, Barfield. And nobody else was really doing self-publishing anything that I knew. So it wasn't like I had a peer like that. So I've kind of just had to do my own thing.
Yeah.
Which, you know.
I don't know if you know who Jason DeGroot is, but he's on Facebook all the time, and he does all these jam comics.
Oh, no.
And I've done a number of pages for him. He sends me what he wants, and I draw it, you know.
Yeah.
He was just finishing up the original Scrooge story from Dickens.
Oh.
And everybody had a page, and he wrote out what he wanted on the page, and a bunch of different artists. I did 2 pages, and he said I could do another one if I want, but he's still going with that.
Yeah, I think he got it. I remember his name from back in the SPS, or maybe even back when we were going to space, back in that era.
Okay, here he is. This is Jason DeGroot's Sunday Jam.
So is he in Columbus also?
He's been doing this for about a year.
Is he in Columbus area also?
Jason's in Texas.
Oh, is he Texas? Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's in Texas.
But it's a jam comic he's done with all kinds of people. I have a page in here. Larned has a page in here. He sends it out, and Bob Corby has a page in here.
Yeah.
I guess I need to reach out and
get on Facebook and just check out Jason DeGroot. You'll see he has a Sunday Jam. He has what he calls a Sunday Jam. He has a couple different jams going at the same time, and
well, cool.
Yeah, he'd love for you to do something, really.
Well, I'll see. It feels like I'm always, since I draw so slow, I always feel like my schedule is booked up. But I need to.
He doesn't care how long it takes you. You know, he doesn't care. Whenever you get it done, send it in. But yeah, you got to do that.
Well, I will make a note of that.
Yeah.
Right now, in fact.
Yeah. Jason DeGroot.
I was looking through some old issues of Rap Sheet. Remember Rap Sheet when you were?
I do remember Rap Sheet.
Yeah, I would help for a while.
Yeah, I was helping Sherman do an archival project on that. He's scanning everything into PDFs, and I told him I have all of the issues I did as I think they're PageMaker files, which I still have an old computer that can do PageMaker. So I converted them all to PDFs for him. So I'm not sure where or when he's going to find a home for those, but
I'm looking for this. You were chairman at this time, like of the Small Press Syndicate in 2006, 2007, something. In fact, here's something you did inside of Rap Sheet.
Yep, those were webcomic strips that I did.
Webcomics?
Yeah.
Okay. You put them in there.
Yeah.
Larned was in the Small Press Syndicate at that time before it went all, digital, before it went online. And I was towards the end. I was the viceroy. I was in that group too for a little while.
Yeah, I don't know that it really thrived well after it went away as a print comic. I know Ronson was going to do a Carpal Tunnel Syndrome 5, and I don't know if that ever got finished. It was when I was there, it was hard to find. I couldn't find anyone to succeed me as chairman. And so we just kind of were, in theory, moving it online, but I don't think anybody really had the energy to keep it going online.
Didn't it continue for a little bit longer? The guy I thought I saw some later issues with Sherman Burnett, and but I'm not sure.
Well,
eventually
it may have. I did when you were giving me questions. I pulled up 146, which was the last issue I did. And as far as I know, that was the last issue. Yeah, and it was frustrating that nobody wanted to take it on because I liked the ideals of the SPS a lot, and it was a nice group of different people with different interests and different styles. Yeah. Like I remember, like Matt Levin was still contributing a lot. Dukes, and their styles were so different, but they all were part of the same thing.
It was a different sort of co-op from the UFO. I mean, the UFO I don't know. They had a different flavor in the early days of the UFO. It was like we're the best of small press, and the small press syndicate was more relaxed, and they didn't have those quality demands.
Yeah.
But the UFO doesn't have that anymore. I got rid of that stuff. I threw that out the window. You know, you have a quality
Anything
standard.
goes.
If it's not good enough, then we'll kick you out of the group. But that's how it's really. I mean, even though they had good intentions, it was kind of like that in the early days. But it's not like that anymore. It's a much more friendly group. The small press syndicate was a very more relaxed and amiable type of to be a part of, and a lot of people were involved with it, and so I
liked it. It was kind of a little challenging because when I was there, it was sort of the end days, and a lot of members contributed really good pieces. Like Matt Levin had strips every issue. I forget his name now. Robert Upton. He kept us going with that Carpal Tunnel Syndrome 4 crossover. That was really entertaining. Andy Nukes would do wild and wacky drawings.
Andy Nukes, right here.
Andy Nukes, yeah.
And that was great. But then there were other people who would just kind of send random files as attachments. And it's like, well, if you can't even be bothered to create, as a publisher, to create a zine or present your work in a consistent way, what are you expecting to get out of an organization like that? So that was frustrating that the internet seemed to be a lot of people didn't really, maybe they were just done trying to create a thing and were just wanting to post, more interested in posting on bulletin boards. Yeah. So it was a weird time, I thought.
Yeah.
Because before that, Larned and I were in APA 5, and that's amazing that it was a month.
Were you in APA 5?
Yeah.
I was too, but only for a little while, way back in the mid 1970s.
Oh, this is early 2000s, and it was monthly. And it amazes me that even working, I may have been not working full time I was not working full time when I started there, but by the time I was still, central mailer and.
You were the central mailer for APA 5.
I was for a couple of years.
I had no idea.
I could do a monthly thing. I was like, where's the energy to do that now? I
know.
Yeah, it amazes me. But, we didn't have a lot of, there wasn't a lot of these distractions of the streaming age and, the internet really weren't having an impact yet. Even the internet really didn't have a lot of impact. We had a message board, but most people were doing things in their zines and, commenting on the work in the zines. So when you picked up that issue, you got a whole complete thing, a whole creative experience. And it's kind of when people start to we'll do the comments online, it kind of takes away from it.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I did that, speaking of monthly, I did that White Buffalo Gazette. That was monthly for over a year.
Yeah. I got one of those over here too. I think yesterday.
And to organize that many artists.
Yeah. And one day my wife said to me, "Why are you spending so much time on everybody else's stuff and you're not doing anything?" And I didn't have an answer for that.
That's it. That's part of the reason that I kind of have to step down as chairman of the UFO.
Yeah, I don't you're doing everybody else's stuff and not your own.
Get her a newsletter. One of the reasons Rap Sheet probably met its demise at some point, you got to realize there's only so many hours in a day. And if you're putting together a magazine like that on a bi-monthly basis, it's a lot of work. And you got a full-time job and everything else too. And then you find time to do your own stuff. That's why I'm working towards doing comics again.
I've run into that here with kind of working in artist groups too. It's like, somebody I was talking with last weekend, it's like, I'm not doing their holiday show because I realized as much energy as I put into that, because she's paying rent on a studio already. It's like, I could just open my own shop for the holidays for those 3 weeks. And it's like, So a lot of times groups don't live up to their ideals, sort of.
Right.
Because I've noticed that here a lot. groups that are like, we're a group that works together, but then when you see them in actuality, like they're doing a street fair and everybody has their own booth near each other, but they're not really like, here's a group thing where we can share everybody's thing. And, but at the same time, it's like, if you devote everything to the group, you never get your own identity. So it's kind of a weird,
that's wild.
Double-edged sword.
I think back to the Chicago Comic Convention. I was there in '86 and '87, and there were like 25 people in the UFO at the time, and like 20 of them all showed up at this convention. It was a big thing, and they had a separate small press section where it was just small press, and we spent a lot of time promoting the UFO. Jim Main was there, Jeff Wood, who was one of the chairmen in those days. Jim Main was the chairman, and but yeah, we had that togetherness at that time. But we even all went out to eat. We went out and had burgers and 20 crazy small press people showed up at this restaurant across the street, and they were like, and they had to put tables together. But there was that sense of togetherness. We did something together that we all remember very well. Matt Pinzell was there, and he made a video of that. There's a video out there. If you ask Matt, he might still have copies of that on CD or DVD. But
well, I guess that's one of the nice things about, I sometimes get a little frustrated when the MSCA's meetups just become sort of a social hour, because it's like you're not really talking about work or working on work that you can share and get feedback on. But at the same time, it's nice FaceTime to just enjoy each other's company. So it serves its purpose too. Yeah.
Well, Dale, we usually try to keep things to an hour because we find that is about 2 minutes. So
was there anything you didn't get to that you had questions about?
We covered everything, unless you know something you wanted to say. Be happy to have you, whatever. But anyway,
it's been an honor. It's been a pleasure talking with you, Dale. Really nice to see you in person. Put a face on.
Well, you see my face on a lot of comics, like that Halloween issue. There I was.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean, there you are, right there. It looks just
right
like
there.
you.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Oh, happy Halloween, everyone! This is Halloween.
That's right.
It is Halloween.
I gotta go out trick or treating. I gotta wrap this up.
Well, thanks for having me. This is fun.
Well, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it, and so does Steve, of course. But that was great.
Okay.
So I'm going to hit end recording, and we will say, see you next time.
Adios, folks.
See ya. Bye.